Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do, remember we got you covered because we'll post all 3 hours both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's a good thing. It's brought to you with limited commercial interruption because we have an awesome sponsor, folks at SVN, Carlton Dean, carltondean.com to learn more about making money in commercial real estate. You can email the show if you like, jcs at 979espnradio.com. You can find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. The WTSM app is a good one. Tom and I are just forever having lengthy conversations about the goodness of the WTSM app. What boring lives we lead.
It's not about family, friends, experiences, sports.
I called you the other day. I said, Tom, I was just thinking about the WTSM app. You said, that's funny. Me too. And also, I might note that you can find the archived audio on iTunes. We'll post it up there after the show, as I say. And you can email the show, jcs at 979espnradio.com. Fire away with all that goodness. Thanks for your emails, comments, queries, quibbles, kindness. That, too, has been thrown our way lately a lot for some reason. Thank you for that. What a weekend, huh? If you're a Bucs fan, ha-ha, what a draft. Way to go, boys. I don't know about your team, but they didn't do as well as mine. I'll tell you that now. I know it. I don't even need to look at your draft. That worked well. Knowles lost a series that they didn't have to, and it certainly started well enough. Winning that first game, I thought, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Go ahead and beat Virginia in game one. Feeling good. Get a win when Cole Sands is on the hill. That's all right. Yeah, let's do that thing. Got to win. Felt good about it. Thought that we could find a way to forge one more victory over the weekend, certainly when you had your ace going to the hill the next night. But next day, Holton gives up a couple runs. We go to the bullpen. The bullpen is terrible, and we lose that game going away.
Get 2 hit.
Yeah, in some ways, that's a little bit more digestible because even if Holton had been great, you had 2 hits. So, it's going to happen. But you come back yesterday, and for whatever reason, we're just not going to start Carlton in our rotation. We're just not going to do it, no matter overwhelming evidence that suggests he should be there at this point, that all of the other experiments are no more, and Carp gives you literally nothing. Thanks, brother. I mean, that's kind of a big game. That's a tough, tough time to go out there and to suck to high heaven. I mean, just to be a pure pail of garbage when I need you to muster a couple of innings at least, and we got nothing. Literally nothing.
That's a hell of a time to send him to the hill, to choose him and tab him in a big conference series.
He hasn't been good since the great outing against Florida.
And yet he made it into the weekend rotation. It's a promotion of sorts.
4 hits, 4 runs, walk, suck fest, get off the hill, game over. So we do rally, and they showed certainly some heart offensively, but alas, the deficit proves to be too much. And I will say this, at least Mendoza has got caught up. He's caught up to the baseball now. That's easy power that you see out of him these days, and that's fun.
His multi-hit game on Friday, 2 for 2 with the 2-run home run, and he hits a 2-run home run yesterday as well. Only multi-hit game of the series for anybody in the lineup.
Well, he's looking like he's gotten more and more comfortable, certainly, and so that will serve this team well, but not if they can't get a better depth of pitching, more quality starts, and they've got a guy that I think they could turn to, but for whatever reason, they like pitching him when they're losing.
Yes, it's out of hand.
That's the only time they do it.
Out of hand. Maybe you could have used the 3 2/3 of scoreless pitching when Parrish came in. Maybe bring in Drew as the first guy available in that situation.
Wouldn't that be part of what was called the new role he was going to play?
Hasn't been different at all.
No, I don't. Roll his ass out there. We're down a bunch, sure. I don't know the reason for that. I haven't been given a good explanation. I don't know of one. I don't know why.
Is there one?
I don't know. It's frustrating.
How many ways can you skin this cat? It's been how long now? Because this is a big series, and this is a really good Virginia team.
Yeah.
So if let's say that everything was going the way it's supposed to for the year, and you're a top 10, top 15 club, and you have a weekend series like this where you take game one, and then a hot pitch rolls out there, and the staff puts together a 2-hit shutout, and so the bats are cold for an afternoon. And then yesterday you lose 7-5. You can handle that and say, well, Virginia's just a really good ball club. But you need these wins. And why wouldn't you put yourself in the best position to succeed after the evidence has stacked in favor of Drew Carlton being one of your 2 best starting pitchers? I just don't get it. It's frustrating.
Well, it's a series loss, and now you're probably not looking at hosting a regional. Let's just say what this leads us all to. And, there's a part of me that's fine with that. Maybe they just need to get the hell out of here. Go and be somewhere else where the expectations are, at the very least, minimized. I mean, we're not going to the weight that you always feel when you walk into Hauser in the postseason, it's palpable. It's crazy. Not that, I know it sounds asinine to suggest that playing away from home, and they've played well at Hauser this year, playing away from home is somehow going to aid this team. But I don't know. They've tried it the other way a million times. Fine, go on the road with low expectations. Watch them plow their way through the postseason. We'll all giggle together. I mean, that's kind of the last thing you're holding on to at this point.
What's our rotation? Because that's going to matter.
I've suggested that you could go with Holton, Carlton, Sands.
Probably could. Imagine if you were in Game 3 of a weekend regional. Not in the Super Regional yet, but you're in Game 3. You're 1-1, so you need the win to get back into the championship game. Who are you going to roll out there if you start with Sands and Holton? Are we really going to go with Parrish or Carp? That's how ludicrous this is.
The draft has been a lot of fun for a long time, and this one was no different. It had its fair share of absurdities, like most drafts, but none bigger than the Bears. What in the world is going on in Chicago? Bidding against themselves, inexplicably, they moved up to get Mitch Trubisky and gave away a lot to do it. When you say it aloud, it's fun. You kind of chuckle. You can't quite spit it out without laughing.
What would you say you do here?
Dalvin Cook, obviously the big story amongst Knowles, although I think a bigger story and sadder story is that Travis Rudolph did not get drafted, and this was something that we kind of first guessed and thought was entirely possible when he declared. And when he declared, you try not to be insensitive. You try not to be mean-spirited for a good kid. Guy's a bad guy. You might say whatever. You might be callous. You might not care. Guy's a good kid, hard worker, did everything you asked of him when he was in the program, represented the school well, was productive. You root for guys like that always. So when he announced it, I noticed that we all on the beat, and I'll get back to Dalvin in a minute, all of us that cover the team, everybody that's familiar with that situation thought, am I not looking at him properly? Do I not see what maybe some advisors clearly see? Because why would he declare? There didn't seem to be any indicators that he had the requisite talent to go in the first 3 rounds. And if that's the case, why would you declare? Why would you declare to maybe go in the 5th or 6th round, if that, right? So I started to second guess myself. I think you did. I think a lot of us did. We started to think, well, maybe there's something we're not seeing about this guy. No, we had it right. We had it right. He didn't look like a guy that NFL teams would be falling over one another to get, and they weren't, and they didn't. They didn't draft him. So I hate it for him. All you can do is knock on wood and hope that he makes a team so that he can get the sizable paycheck that comes with being on an NFL roster. You hope he works his way through all of this and becomes a fixture somewhere. And I hate, given the most recent tragedy in his life, the situation with his dad being shot and dying, that all of this has turned out the way that it has is just strikes me as terribly sad. I hope he does well, and I hope whoever gave him that terrible advice, and I don't know who that is, and it could have been friends, could have been family, could have been an agent, could have been any number of people. I don't know, but boy. They ought to feel terrible because they've steered that kid wrong. For that matter, the same happened to Rod Johnson, who we thought it was a little early to declare. He does get drafted, but not until the 5th round. And that struck me as odd, too. I actually thought he'd go higher than that, I have to admit. I thought when he declared, we said, well, all right, seems like he could have used another year, but he'll get drafted. And we thought, I said late third, early fourth.
Right, top 100 type player on the very edge of that.
But to fall there, that's kind of,
Well, okay, if you're the Bucs and you got him in the 5th round, you do backflips. You'd say, well, the upside for that player is huge.
Sure.
And we love the way he's wired. I was talking to a friend this weekend about just being able to cover Rod and talk to him. He's wired perfectly to deal with hard coaching because it rolls right off his back. He has no problems with somebody militaristic in his face like Rick Trickett is with the offensive lineman.
Right.
And he's just a different dude. He's got a good perspective on life. He's a smart kid.
Oh, he's a fun interview, man. He is fantastic. You root for him for the reason that you root for Travis Rudolph and some of the other guys we've mentioned. But yeah, he's a unique individual.
And Jimbo Fisher doesn't go out of his way to, and we said this last week, doesn't go out of his way to praise somebody and say that they could be one of the best in program history at a position if he doesn't think that it's true. It's not like when he talks about weights or 40 times or how many times you can bench press. He doesn't do that just for the hell of it. He doesn't do it to give you a little boost in the regular season. He does it when he really thinks there's something in you. So, if it was my team that got him in the 5th round, I'd be ecstatic that I have a chance for a steal here that could be on my team 7-8 years from now as a contributor. But I just hate that he turned away an awful lot of money because there was an opportunity next year with the schedule we have.
Well, you could have shown your
wares
wares against the likes of Alabama right off the bat, but you're absolutely right. And, again, you root for this young man to do well, and he, too, represented the university well, represented himself well, he and his family. All of that is true, so we root for him just as we do Travis Rudolph. Dalvin going in the 2nd round comes as a surprise, if only because we thought he was first-round talent. And I think the Vikings did get first-round talent. It's not as shocking as you would think it to be given our emails and tweets and the absolute shock that some Florida State fans seem to exhibit when he fell into the 2nd round, in that he is still the 3rd running back taken in the draft. And running backs, as we say, depending on the system you're in, it's been somewhat devalued. If 4 or 5 other running backs had gone before him,
like Foreman and Mack,
right, then
Pirine and Mixon,
right, we would have all been stunned. Then to be the 3rd back taken, certainly not nearly as bad sounding when you say it aloud as, hey, Dalvin Cook fell to the 2nd round. What did they find on him? I don't know. Clearly, they did not like the interview process. Many of these teams came out and said that later on, that Dalvin did not interview well at the Combine. Dalvin didn't do himself any favors there by not getting good advice. Some of the people he surrounded himself with in his past, but also to represent him as an agent, have been second-guessed as well by a lot of teams, and even by people I know locally that I've had a chance to talk to that would have that kind of information, that he's made some decisions that are curious, to say the least. So I think if you look at his agent, perhaps some of the hangers-on that teams have concerns about and that he did not distance himself from, coupled with an injury history, I can see how he fell into the 2nd round. Now, it's probably best, frankly, if any of that is true, if any of the stuff about the guys within the state back home in Miami, if it's true, it's probably best he get out of this state. It's best that he didn't go to Miami or to Tampa Bay or to Jacksonville, that he leave the state, and you can't get much further away now, and go to a place like Minnesota. Obviously, they're thrilled to have him. And frankly, the guy he's tasked with replacing is far more insidious when you look at deeds done than Dalvin Cook. So I think those are big shoes to fill from a productivity standpoint. But if we're talking character, it's an upgrade.
Sure. And Seattle may be a greater distance from Miami and coming from Miami on a map. But Minnesota is about as far away as you could get from Miami. Well, what are we talking about here? That's about as far away as you can get from Miami. There will be a culture shock for certain when he gets off the plane. And next thing he knows, it's week 3, and he's out at Lambeau Field playing against the Packers for the Minnesota Vikings. I wish he fell 9 more spots. I like the way the Bucs drafted, and I'm happy like you are with the way the Bucs approached this thing. I just think that from an injury standpoint, that concern is legitimate. But I think the Vikings are going to be quite happy with what they did 4 or 5 years from now. I think they're going to be kind of laughing about the fact that he fell to them in the 40s.
It'll be interesting to see how his career plays out. It's funny, as we got closer and closer to the draft, even amongst Seminoles, even amongst you and I, for example, going back and forth on and off the air, not in an argument because the degree of good is what we're debating, not whether or not he can play. That's always one of those more interesting arguments when you have a guy that one guy thinks just can't play and another one thinks is going to be an all-pro. That wasn't our debate. Our debate wasn't that he couldn't play. You thought he might be transcendent. You thought he might be all-pro, elite, long-time, 10-year superstar back in the NFL. I fell short of that projection. I don't think that's who he is. I'm rooting for that to be the case, but I don't think that's who he is.
Maybe 10 years, point taken, but yeah, certainly somebody who's going to be a household-type name because he's that good.
You think he's going to be a star?
Yes,
in the way
I
that,
do. Mm-hmm.
In the way that Devonta Freeman became a star.
I think he'll be better than that.
I mean, you think he'll be better than Freeman?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't. But
but it's shades of good.
Yeah, it's shades of good. So we still disagree. But
you're
it's
not
shades
saying
of
the
good.
word bust.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, he's a well. If we're going to play the game, what value to get him in the second round? That's true. That's great value. And I hope he does well. I do. And hopefully that being extricated from the state of Florida will help him and all of that. Now, that said, I found a few things fascinating about the draft and some things that were very, very frustrating about the draft and the way that they talk about certain guys and certain people that are involved in the draft are always interesting. But I thought of this while it was happening. Do you know, as we went through all of this, as we led up to the draft, and you and I love to play the little sounder draft analysis in which we make fun of all of these guys that are paid handsomely to speculate on the draft. And to some degree, because it is so speculative, you give them, we both do, I think anyhow, and I think most people do who get it, an awful lot of leeway. Things can happen that you don't know about. You know, you go all the way back over the mini drafts over the years, you find out things about prospects that, especially if they played, say you're an East Coast guy and they played on the West Coast, you find out later on there were all kinds of questions about a guy's character or something, but you may not have heard about it. You may not have known about it.
That's often one of the big gripes in the fan response to what these guys are doing. Well, you have an East Coast bias because this kid's a Pac-12 star.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything to you.
Right.
A star is a star. It doesn't matter what conference he comes from. Sure.
So there are a lot of things that can lead to, evaluations that are either, off base by a little bit or stunningly bad. But then there is the stuff that we see in which these guys actively seek to misinform and to shape a narrative or conversation, and we think that's built around a willfulness, a willingness to take a situation and manipulate it for the gain of the network or their website or the clicks on stories, whatever it might be. And I was thinking back about this because as we got closer to the draft, and I don't know if you noticed this, we had several people tweet at Jay Cameron Show, and a couple times it made me laugh because Todd McShay began to champion Joshua Dobbs at Tennessee. Did you note that?
Yes, he and a couple others said he's going to sneak into the first round.
My goodness. Well, it brought me back. Mel Kiper once said that he basically thought Jimmy Clausen was such a sure thing that he'd bet his career, that he'd retire if Clausen were a bust. And, of course, Clausen is a bust and has been and was never going to be great, and not too many people besides Mel Kiper thought he'd be great. That led to a much bigger story. Many months later, people said, oh, wait a minute, this may have happened because Mel's good friends with the agent of Jimmy Clausen.
Sure. Remember when Jimmy Clausen was doing the rounds and he went on Gruden's quarterback
Gruden
camp?
Killed him.
But here's the thing.
And Gruden never kills anybody.
The way Gruden treats quarterbacks is the way that Showtime's A Season With treats the university that they're embedded with.
Yeah.
All they do is they give you the positive stuff. That's it. It's hard to come away feeling negative about the institution, or in this case, the player, on those particular programs for the respective purpose.
Yeah, it's a massage.
Gruden murdered Clausen.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
Like, they had long bits of silence.
Well,
they left that in with the final edit because Gruden clearly was offended that Jimmy Clausen was sitting across from him.
Or made certain throws.
With the demeanor that he had about the throws that he made, too.
But not just that, Gruden goes back a long ways and is a fan of Notre Dame. That's kind of not all that well known, but
You failed me.
He likes Notre Dame. He felt, yes, you could sense there was a personal animosity there. That was a bit much for my taste.
There's 3 timeouts in the first quarter.
He was furious about it. All right, so now that said, would I be wrong to assert that Todd McShay is awfully good friends with somebody in the Dobbs family? Because how in the hell anybody watched him play at Tennessee and thought nobody who's even reasonable had him going anywhere before the 4th round? And he had him sneaking in originally to the 2nd round. It may not surprise me to see him go in the 2nd round. And before the draft said, I think he could sneak into the tail end of the 1st round. Sir, we're watching the same games you are. What in the world are you talking about, man? That kid can't play.
One of his supportive bullet points for this particular prognostication was that now that he has all of the tough coursework out of his way because he's studying to be a rocket scientist, essentially. Now that coursework is out of the way,
on football.
he can focus on football and be great.
Again, I didn't think this was a good draft, whether it be for quarterbacks, whether it's Trubisky, who I don't think will make it, and, the Bears, good Lord, a draft for the ages. If you look at the rest of their draft, I might add, it's something to behold. I don't think he'll make it. I was hard on him. Obviously, if you're going to take a guy and take a chance on a guy in a draft that I don't think is talent-rich at quarterback, I guess the chance you might take is on Deshaun Watson.
Maybe you just take the chance that Trubisky would be available at 3.
Well, he would have been.
Know.
He would have been.
Just
I don't
me.
know what they were doing. I don't know who they were bidding against. Nobody seems to know that yet. There hasn't been a real good explanation for why they did that. But
did John Lynch tell him
what a
that
wonderful
God
play
has come to me in a dream and said that Cleveland's going to trade up to number 2?
It was bizarre how that played out. But nonetheless, that was probably the shocker of the draft. What's less shocking as we go through this is that Cincinnati would be the team to take Mixon. You got to give Cincinnati credit. I mean, there is a boldness involved in Cincinnati's efforts to bring in the worst people in the world into that locker room, and they don't shy away whatsoever. This is our stated goal. We just don't care. I'm not saying he can't play. He can definitely play, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve a second chance. Everybody does. He's done what he's had to do, etc. We've all seen the reprehensible video and what he did and act and all of that. He was going to get drafted by somebody. We know that, and he has a right to work and all that. But if you're Cincinnati, don't you think a little bit more discretion? Don't you think you'd have gone back through the history of these selections and these types of guys and said, it hasn't really given us the fruit we were looking for here. It hasn't borne what we were hoping. In fact, if anything, it's done the opposite.
Cincinnati selects Joe Mixon, and they've traded up. Cincinnati selects Darvin Taylor, defensive tackle, University of Florida. Yes, exactly. That's what it feels like.
Well, Cincinnati's just, they care not for your feelings. They don't care what you think of them. They
Marvin
are
Lewis
not.
is like, man, listen.
I got to win games.
Eventually, they're going to wake up and fire me.
At some point, I'm going to get fired for not winning playoff games. But, man, Cincinnati's double middle fingers when it comes character. You get the hell out of here with character. Can he run? That's all. That's the Cincinnati.
Was Hill the guy who punched the kid outside of the bar?
Yes. Was the back of the head?
Yeah.
Oh, no, perfect. You can
Well, of course, perfect.
Well,
yes.
you can keep going.
Pac-Man.
Yes, repeatedly signing him to contracts. I don't want to besmirch the dead. Wasn't Henry, the receiver on that team, fell at the back of the truck?
I believe so, yes.
Now, that doesn't make you a bad guy falling at the back of a truck, but that was all part of a domestic situation.
Oh, the police report.
That whole situation is hideous. They're just not concerned.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Your Big Ben Makita Pro Center. Makita 18-volt X2 LXT for only $249. 0 emissions and reduced maintenance. No need for gas or oil. Same battery, 36-volt power. Also ask about your increased warranty on Makita concrete tools. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. 2 locations. 1110 Stuckey Ave in Tallahassee or at 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Call them at 580-1200 in Tallahassee or 926-1144 in Crawfordville. Online at ctf.nu.
When it comes to live gaming excitement, Creek Entertainment Gretna is your hometown headquarters. With live poker and simulcast race betting, you've got more winning opportunities right here close to home. Plus, we now offer 3-card poker and Pai Gow in our card room. Satisfy big appetites at Stables, featuring hot and cold sandwiches, salads, and weekend specials. There's always something exciting going on at Creek Entertainment Gretna. I-10, exit 174, Gretna, Florida.
Get your weekend started right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Saturdays at 6 a.m. with Fishing Florida Radio. Listen to the 3 amigos, Boudreaux, Steve Chapman, and Captain Mike Ortega as they catch you up to speed on what's new and biting in the North Florida region. Big-time guests, celebrities, interviews, and 3 hours of the fishing info you need. Fishing Florida Radio is brought to you by Sea Quarters Marina off Highway 98 in Carabel. Sea Quarters Marina, your full-service marina, and presented by Hobbit American Grill, locally owned and operated since 1978.
Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/17.
Allergy sufferers, my name's Nigel, and as a well-educated owl, I know the difference between what's wise and unwise. Texting after 3 glasses of Merlot? Unwise. Using new Zysol for 24-hour relief of your allergy symptoms? Quite wise. Because Zysol is just as effective at hour 24 as it is at hour 1, relieving your symptoms for a better night's sleep and a more productive day. So for continuous 24-hour allergy relief, don't be unwise. Be wise all. Take new Zysol. Use as directed.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Something else we learned about the draft, or probably already knew, but were reminded of as it took place. Guys know who Garrett Bowles is? That would be the offensive tackle taken out of Utah, University of. And if you recall, he came to the stage with a baby, which the Jeff Cameron Show PR firm is now going to co-op and use for all my clients that, quote, unquote, have a troubled past. Yeah. Unfortunately, if you're one of my African-American clients, I can't make you white in that situation because that would help them gloss over all of your previous problems. But short of that, I can ask that we have you hold a baby because that will forgive all of the negatives in your past, right? Oh, Dalvin Cook, sure, character issues. He's going to fall because there's some guys from his middle school days that he's hung around that are suspect. Oh, Garrett Bowles, offensive tackle, big white guy to Utah, kicked out of his house, lots of dances with the law, right? Gangs, violence, theft, found God, had a baby, all's right with the world. Let's celebrate Garrett Bowles. He's got a baby. Look, he's got a baby. Forget about it. This will be utilized. Crimes in your past, bring a baby. Slap your lady friend across the face, bring a baby. Steal a car, baby. All you need. They'll talk glowingly about you at the NFL draft. They won't make mention other than to say, you've turned your life around.
Multiple violent crime convictions, baby one arm, puppy in the other.
All is well. Pro Bowl potential for this young man. This guy here, let's look at the film while not mentioning the numerous brushes with the law and character questions that surround this selection. Again, he's got a baby. And look at how cute that baby is, folks. He's a cutie.
And if you need the puppy, just name it Roger. People will say, wow, how cute is that? And he's also taking a shot at the commissioner. He's our hero.
Hung with a rough crowd back in the day. Some of those questions surrounded him. It's why he had to go to a junior college before transferring over. But he went on a mission, and he's had a baby. We'll ignore all of those other problems. So we were reminded once again that it's a double standard. And that certainly, if you play your cards right, that is to say, if you're white and have a baby, we'll forget about any of your transgressions or people that you hung around with in your past. We will not do that for others. It's just that we heard so often about these players or people that Dalvin Cook grew up with, hung out with in middle school, and his problems there. And to be sure, he had problems, well documented. Is he a saint? No. Lots of the guys that went in the NFL draft were not, as we also know. It's that the way they're described and talked about during these broadcasts are always interesting. And he stood out to me. Because the more you read about those stories and the more you heard about his past, the more you thought it was rather convenient that during the draft, all they could talk about was what a great story it was that he turned his life around, got right, found God, and had a baby. And maybe he has. Maybe that's all true. Maybe he's a great guy now and he wasn't in the past. I'm talking about the way you describe these players and the way you talk about these guys when they're drafted.
Sure. I think that the broadcast was a little bit less fond of the Falcons draft pick on night one, who dropped the F-bomb after he had the picture of his grandmother.
Yeah.
And he gave her the promise about getting out of Oakland. And then he said, excuse me for my language, find me later, which was kind of awesome, the stream of consciousness.
Yeah, he was all
dropping
in
the
and
F-bomb.
emotional. And yeah.
But it seemed like the desk wasn't as in favor of maybe that young man as Mr. Bowles from Utah. Funny how that can work.
But that young man was carrying a picture of his dead grandmother, not a baby, Tom.
Yes. Lesson learned for the PR firm.
I will use this. It will be written up on my next placard. You walk in with a troubled past, haven't done anything wrong in years that we can really see, maybe accused of a few things, but not found guilty of any. I'm going to suggest baby. We'll have 5 or 6 to choose from. We'll have to trade them out often because babies become less cute as they get older. So we'll need some new babies at all time. But you walk in, and then all of a sudden I see, a little misstep when you were 14. They're going to hold this against you, you know. We've had everybody to the nth degree these days. So since this is going to make it to the public, I'd advise showing up on draft night with a baby.
And the focus groups think that a baby girl was actually better this year, which is the first time in 4 years. It's usually been a baby boy.
That's true.
The father-son angle.
Yeah.
But this year, the young daughter idea
We
has
go baby
really,
girl here.
Yeah, I think that's my,
Well-
maybe the pink NFL official team gear of the team that drafts you.
Oh, have it ready.
Yeah. And it says #1 fan on the back.
You just got to hold baby in such a way that, clearly shows you care, and then maybe get a little teary-eyed, and we are past any previous problems. It is over. They won't mention it, not once. They'll be inclined to sing your praises and make stuff up that you didn't even do in a positive way.
And if you want to get into the real good graces of the league, what you can do is hand your baby over to Roger Goodell for a photo op so Goodell is humanized
there it is.
in a way
That's
he
right.
has never been before.
He could just kiss the baby and then tell us how bad weed is. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/17.
Allergy sufferers, my name's Nigel, and as a well-educated owl, I know the difference between what's wise and unwise. Texting after 3 glasses of Merlot? Unwise. Using new Zysol for 24-hour relief of your allergy symptoms? Quite wise. Because Zysol is just as effective at hour 24 as it is at hour 1, relieving your symptoms for a better night's sleep and a more productive day. So for continuous 24-hour allergy relief, don't be unwise. Be wise all. Take new Zysol. Use as directed.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Why? Because you can save 45% on packages compared to your high-priced cable bill. Wow. Take those giant scissors out and cut the cable and save with Dish TV. Plus, you get a free DVR upgrade to record your favorite shows and free installation. And with Dish Anywhere, you can watch TV for free on your mobile device. Act fast. You can save hundreds of dollars. Does your cable company do that for you? I don't think so. Get all the best TV programming at your fingertips at a fraction of the price of cable TV. So say adios, arrivederci, goodbye to the high cable bill and save up to 45% on Dish TV packages today. These are limited time offers and can change at any time. Call fast. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. That's 800-344-2066.
If you haven't stopped into Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out.
Hey, it's me, Courtney. Hey, it's me, Marissa.
Last but not least, I'm Kim, and we're the girls from the Fourth Quarter.
Okay, girls, there are lots of great nights to stop in at the Fourth Quarter, including Monday, where it's happy hour all day, including 2-for-1 Wells. There's Tuesday night trivia with Professor Jimmy, where you can win money. What other night should we stop by the Fourth Quarter?
It's Kim again. Join me Saturday and Sunday mornings for Bubbles and Brunch from 7 to 2. $18.99, all you can drink mimosas and Bloody Marys, and it includes breakfast.
Hey, Riss here. Come join me for lunch. We have over 20 lunch specials for just $7.50, and that includes a drink.
I'm Courtney. Visit me on Monday nights when we have 2-for-1 Wells, calls, and domestic drafts all night.
Don't miss out on the girls of the Fourth Quarter. Pick your favorite night and stop in. Say hi to the girls at 2033 North Monroe Street, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill, Tallahassee's favorite hangout.
Due to an upturn in the economy, Main Street Business Loans has pre-approved the release of millions of dollars in small business funding. Your business may already be pre-approved to receive up to $250,000. We've sent out millions of pre-approval letters. We see the economy growing, and our underwriters believe now is the time to invest in your business so you can grow faster and make more money. And we're prepared to give you up to $250,000 to do it. Your funds can be available in 5 days. There are no application fees, no annual fees, just quick access to up to $250,000. If your business did not receive your approval letter to get up to $250,000, call Main Street Business Loans Approval Desk now.
800-509-2163, 800-509-2163, 800-509-2163, 800-509-2163.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stop in at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. You know, a startling statistic that came out of this draft, while we continue on this path for a moment. Nearly 30%, 29-point-something% of the early entries to the NFL draft went undrafted.
Now that is stunning.
I mean, good Lord, man.
There's a lot of bad advice going out there.
Not picked late, not drafted. I mean, just straight up not even selected. Relatively speaking, certainly anybody that is drafted is a wonderful athlete and is a very, very talented, gifted football player. You can't get drafted if you're not. And so, again, it's all relative. We're talking about such a small percentage of people on the earth that can do what these guys do. It's why they get drafted. So always know that when I'm critical of players that go late or go at all, it's relative to that very small pool of people that can actually play the game of football at such an elite level to even be considered. That said, if you don't even get drafted, do you know that take a look around at some of the bums that make it in this league as a third-string quarterback or these days second-string quarterback, and some of the other guys that you saw in college play that really, when compared to what makes it in the NFL, where the bar is to be an NFL quarterback, there are guys in that league that you thought, are you kidding me? So to not even get drafted in some ways is, it's the ultimate show of you're not you're not of the caliber of player that is requisite of this league for teams to consider you. And so I don't know how. I'm saying all that to say this. I just don't know how. I get if a guy here or there gets terrible advice. Sometimes we get the, confirmation bias where we want to hear certain things. So you get a kid who wants to go pro, who needs the money, who's been desperately seeking this dream, and it takes one guy with ulterior motives to steer you wrong and say, you should turn pro. You can come out early. You'll get drafted. And then it comes out later. You find out terrible advice, doesn't get drafted. And it's obviously it's a cautionary tale. But to hear about 30% of the kids that declared and came out early didn't get drafted, that's a problem for the league. They're going to have to look into how and why. That has to be a larger percentage than they've ever had in the past.
Well, what they need to do is look at the evaluation process when you get your draft grades. That's got to be the thing you can do, because they're already too restrictive in my mind to say that a kid's got to be 3 years removed from high school. Some kids are just good enough and ready, especially the skill positions, to go a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And it's on the teams. It's on the teams. If they draft a kid who's he didn't grow the way he was supposed to because you drafted him too young, this is the NBA's problem. The rule about one and dones is there so NBA owners can be protected from themselves from drafting a kid straight out of high school who may or may not work out because they don't want to be saddled with the contract of that kid at a top 10 level in the two-round NBA draft. But to me, this is probably a communication breakdown, not with agent to player or head coach to player, because certainly I would think the head coaches want these guys to stay more often than not. That's got to be the phone call that they get with the draft grade, telling them what round they're going to go.
I actually think that one of the, I guess, feathers in the caps of most of the big-time college coaches we think of that produce the most amount of NFL talent from their universities is that they are very, very honest with these kids in the sense that actually, Tom, I think they do tell a kid to go if he should go and only tell him to stay when they think it's what's in their best interest. I actually believe for the most part, that's one area, and I'm hypercritical of college football coaches for being hypocritical often. But I don't think they are there because I also think it serves them well to have kids make it in the NFL, obviously, from a recruiting standpoint. If you got a kid that's a junior who just set the school record for rushing yards and everything else, and he goes to Jimbo Fisher and says, I want to go, Jimbo Fisher's going to be the first to say, go make your money, man. You've earned it. You are going to get drafted high. You should go. You know that when Jameis Winston and he sat down, he told Jameis Winston, you got to go. You're the first pick in the draft. There's nothing left for you here. Go.
Sure.
I'd love for you to stay. It'd be great if that's what you want to do.
The college experience is,
No, listen, there's no doubt that if a kid is 50-50, a coach might say, well, now listen, we'd love to have you back. And there is something to having the college experience, following your heart, doing what you want to do and being happy. There's something to that. I'm not going to talk you out of that. But I should note that you're going to be a top 5 pick. You're going to be a multimillionaire. You can always come back and graduate. I think most coaches, even a-holes like Urban Meyer, I believe tell their kids, if they believe they're good enough to get drafted in the first or second round of a draft, they tell them that. They don't try to steer them wrong. So I say that to say this. Those kids got bad advice from agents. Or family members. That's it.
Yeah, but not the coaches in that situation.
No.
If you're looking at a reason for this problem, a coach is going to be honest. Jimbo Fisher didn't sit across from Travis Rudolph and say, go, get your money.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yes. But in terms of coaches being honest or coaches wanting a player to come back or to go is one discussion. But if you're looking at the problem here and what could be the causes of this particular problem, coach is probably on the very, very bottom of the list.
I don't think coaches are telling kids to come back who they think are going to make it. That's what I'm saying. I can't pin any of this on the coaches. I think this was the byproduct of an agent or family member giving bad advice to Rod Johnson and to Travis Rudolph. And in the case of Travis Rudolph, he didn't even get drafted. He's amongst those 30% of kids that declared that didn't even get drafted. You're screwed. I mean, that's tough, man. I hate it for those guys. A lot of those guys got really, really bad advice. And while you cannot, as a league, you can't help if a parent is an idiot. You can't do anything about that. If there's a dad or a mom or an uncle or whomever in a kid's ear saying, you got to go, you got to go, you got to go, we need the money, we need the money. You can't do anything about that. But an agent or people that stand to gain monetarily I don't know what happened there, but that's an awful statistic.
Well, you don't hear about this in the NFL, so I'm assuming that you can't go about it this way. But in the NBA, you can.
You test the waters and come back.
Exactly. Yes. XRM did that a couple of years ago.
That's
where
right.
He didn't hire an agent, but he wanted to go get exposure with, an NBA scouting camp or combine camp, whatever you want to call it. Decided, okay,
I'm not
probably
ready,
need to go
won't
back to
make it.
Tallahassee for another year. Maybe that's the type of reform that the NFL could use
Without
if it's not
question.
already in place, but you never hear about it. If a kid's at the combine, he's not going to the combine, running a bad 40 and saying, well, okay, I'll go back to college for one more year. That just never happens. Maybe that leeway should be afforded to Travis Rudolph in a situation where he doesn't hire an agent, a player like him moving forward. And he goes and he runs his 40, does his agility drills, he hears back from teams, can have conversations with professional teams under the NCAA rules that allow for that type of contact.
I'd allow for a provision to say you can hire an agent and still come back. And I don't mean that you're getting paid by the agent. What I'm saying is you can say, this is going to be my representative if we hear what we want to hear. If we hear that, the NFL, I'm talking about coaches and player personnel directors and all that, say, I'm going in the third round, then he's my guy. But he's going to guide me through this process where I go and work out for these teams. I go to the combine under his tutelage, and he knows the league and all that. We're going to do this. I'm not giving him a penny. He's not giving me a penny unless I'm drafted. I mean, I can see where you could use the help there.
I find it dicey, too, the idea of the film evaluations. If they're not different now than they were when Ernie Sims left, because he's the only person I've known to tell me what it was. It's a phone call. They look at your film, then they give you a phone call, and the phone call goes, third round. Click. You know what I mean? It's not a conversation. It's not this is the way we see
who's
you.
looking at the film?
Right.
It's got to be a collection of coaches or scouts.
Sure.
But it can't be a guy.
Sure.
It's
not some dude in his basement.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, as much as we like Daniel Jeremiah, it's not him. It's an actual NFL scout, right?
But at the same time,
or scouts.
You got bad advice, but you also believe in yourself. And sometimes, in these circumstances, it could be the player overvaluing themselves.
Without
question. And it's not
question.
the family member's fault. It's not the agent's fault or the coach's fault.
I don't know what happened in the case of Travis Rudolph, but he got bad advice somewhere. Somebody planted in his brain that he was going to get drafted probably in the middle round. I don't think he ever thought he was going to go in the first two rounds, did he? If he thought that, then my goodness, I can't imagine that there wasn't somebody.
He didn't after the combine.
Well,
I can promise you that.
There had to have been somebody who would have said, because they love him, they would have been, it's the tough love Cameron thing here, man. That's when look, man, you're not going to sniff the first two rounds. You're not good enough. You're a really good college football player right now.
Let's get you with a sprint coach in the next year.
Let's get you faster. Let's work on some of the areas where you can help yourself.
I'm going to line you up where they're going to use you or not use you. But that's what I'm going to do this year for you, because Jimbo does that a lot. Maybe sometimes too much for our liking about just winning football games.
Yeah.
But, he could say, all right, well, I'm going to line you up in slot this year because that's what you are moving forward. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to give you some looks there, and at least you can put some film out showing what you can do underneath.
I like the idea of a coach saying, I'll give you some looks. But also, I always believe that a college football coach whose salary is paid to win college football games and by boosters and universities isn't, your loyalty certainly is to your players to some extent, but it's to win football games for the university that's paying you. And if lining him up at the slot to help him in his draft stock doesn't help the team any, I don't think you can do that. Or if you do it, I think it's wrong.
Kermit, I think you're going to be an outside receiver in the red zone, so we're going to put you in that situation.
Throw jump balls to you, son. Hour number 2, fourth coming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
TNTSupercenter.com.
Warranty on select models. See Mahindra warranty policy for details.
O'Reilly. If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
New trends are in and the deals are on because this week at Goodies, it's all for mom. It's the Goodies Mother's Day sale. Hurry in for 30% off all the hottest trends like lace, embroidery, pastels, and our personal favorite, florals with a romantic twist. Score 30% off fashion accessories and handbags too. The Mother's Day sale is happening now. And remember, we have fresh deals every day with even more new looks arriving monthly. Goodies. What will new bring out in you? Goodies is part of our Stage family. Offer exclusions apply.
Oscar Mayer is making big changes, and hot dogs will never be the same again. We went back to the drawing board and the cutting board until we had a line of the world's best hot dogs. We got rid of the artificial preservatives in all of our meat and waved goodbye to byproducts in every single hot dog for every single one of you. And right now, the Wienermobile is driving across America to put a hot dog in every hand. So hashtag for the love of hot dogs and tell us why you deserve a visit. Oscar Mayer for the love of hot dogs.
At Lowe's, we know pros appreciate a promise kept, a challenge met, a job well done. And we know pros appreciate saving money. So during Lowe's Pro Appreciation Event, Pro customers can ask to save 10% on in-store paint and paint accessories purchases when you use your Lowe's Business Credit account. So hurry in and save on the supplies pros use every day. Visit the Pro Desk for details. Offer valid 4/27 through 5/10. Subject to credit approval and can't be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
Get your weekend started right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Saturdays at 6 a.m. with Fishing Florida Radio. Listen to the three amigos, Boudreaux, Steve Chapman, and Captain Mike Ortega as they catch you up to speed on what's new and biting in the North Florida region. Big-time guests, celebrities, interviews, and 3 hours of the fishing info you need. Fishing Florida Radio is brought to you by Sea Quarters Marina off Highway 98 in Carabel. Sea Quarters Marina, your full-service marina. And presented by Hobbit American Grill, locally owned and operated since 1978.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon with the dust settled for Florida State players. Dalvin Cook, DeMarcus Walker, Roderick Johnson, and Marquez White were drafted at the end of the 7 rounds on Sunday in the NFL draft in Philly. Cook goes 41 overall in the 2nd round to the Vikings. Walker to the Broncos also in the 2nd round. Johnson is a member of the Cleveland Browns in the 5th round, and White heads to the Dallas Cowboys in the 6th round. Then the free agent frenzy began. Freddie Stevenson will sign with the Chicago Bears. Bobo Wilson will rejoin Jameis Winston. He is headed to Tampa. Travis Rudolph signs with the New York Giants. Kermit Whitfield says he's going to the Bears, although the Bears have not yet confirmed that. Also over the weekend, Oregon received commitments from 5 ESPN 300 players, including 4-star defensive back Isaiah Bolden from Zephyr Hills. He announced his commitment, decommitted from Florida State, although the Noles are absolutely loaded in this year's upcoming DB class.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good Monday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming, free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do, know this. We're going to post all 3 hours of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. We do that every day upon the conclusion of the show, and it's brought to you with limited commercial interruption thanks to our podcast sponsor, fine folks at SVN, Carlton Dean, carltondean.com. Income-producing properties, go to carltondean.com to find out more. You can email the show if you want. It's JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Hello, May. Yeah. Love me some May.
Where did April go?
It's gone. Screw April. We're on to May, buddy. Can't be sitting here wallowing in the past. We're embracing May.
So you're saying April is gone, are you?
April's gone.
Don't worry. We can just transfer money from your account into a portfolio with your son, and it's gone.
You know what I like about that is that March took forever, so April, it just blows past. Beautiful thing. Pretty soon, we'll have every reason, legitimate reason, man, to be talking Florida State, Alabama football all the time.
Which month took longer this year, January or March?
March.
Really? You were more vocal about January taking some time.
I don't know why. Maybe I was in a dark place. March just seemed to be, I don't know what it was. I was angry with March. I was like, what the hell is going on here, March? Useless ass month. Let's go. Maybe I was excited about baseball as much as we've had our baseball love dampened by the series of unfortunate events, to name the book title.
Sure. How about a little 23-5 for that ass?
Woo! Sometimes that's funny, though. We've all been on the wrong end of something bizarre like that where you're like throwing up bullpen catchers to go pitch and stuff. I mean, that can happen.
I mean, what's funnier, losing a baseball game 23-5 or a football game 23-5?
Baseball, it's hard to lose 23-5. You also, by the way, the best part about losing 23-5 is that you gave up 23 hits. So they were very efficient. You know, they brought it all to the table on this particular day when clobbering the Mets and perhaps ending Noah Syndergaard's season. Oh, good Lord. My next guest joins us every week at this time. That's a great thing. He's a friend of the program and does excellent work. In fact, you can read his stuff on warchant.com, making the case. 10 reasons why FSU needs a separate football facility. That from managing editor Ira Shafel, warchant.com, joins us now. Hello, good sir.
How you doing, Jeff?
I'm well. I'm excited that you're making the case, buddy.
That was the premise of the article, is making the case. Why would FSU would argue, or the football staff would argue, why they need it.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back probably later with a little bit of a more balanced opinion.
Are you going to give me 10 reasons they don't need
I am not.
a standalone football facility?
I am not going to do that. But we'll come back. We've got a story about kind of the challenges to doing it, some of which obviously are financial. But I think I do want to write a column just kind of on the whole, kind of how everything has changed. In the 25, 30 years that I've been around college football, first as a fan or observer, and then as a media member. It's just it's really, remember back in the 80s, I'm sure you remember this, in the mid to late 80s, after the big NCAA scandals, there was like this big push to bring the football players, bring the student athletes back into the student body.
Yeah.
You couldn't have just a full athletic dorm. They had to have regular students in the athletic dorm, and you had to there were so many things they wanted to kind of bring the student athletes back into the academic, not the academic, but just the university experience. And now with these facilities, and I understand why they want them, because it will help them in the pursuit of winning football games, but it's almost going completely the other way, where now the idea is to have this football facility where the players can eat there, train there, have study hall there, even have their recreation there, have bowling alleys in there, all that kind of stuff. So almost as if they don't ever have to interact with the rest of the student body. It's interesting to watch the pendulum go back and forth.
And yet we certainly understand, given that is the current climate and what affects various recruits' opinions of visits and whether or not a university makes the cut on their Final 5 or Final 3 list is, in fact, these kinds of special privileges that would be allotted of a young football player on scholarship. And So we use that phrase, keeping up with the Joneses. But it's true. If you're a coach and you watch your rival, teams you're tasked with beating in order to stay employed, doing this for them, if you get left behind, you're screwed in recruiting. So it's no wonder that Jimbo Fisher joins a very vocal group of coaches now at any of these top-flight universities saying, I need more, I want more, I need more all the time. And our question, the larger question, has always been, where does Florida State fit in all of that when competing against these schools that have deeper pockets? And obviously, we talk about the histories of various universities and how long they've been doing it, et cetera. And also, where does the arms race stop?
Well, I mean, that's the first kind of pushback that a lot of fans have, and rightfully so. A lot of people say, well, what do you need? When is enough enough? But on the flip side, as you said, if you're Jimbo Fisher and you say, okay, right now, at this point in time, I've got a lead on the state of Florida. I'm ahead of Florida. I'm ahead of Miami. I've got a lead on most of the teams I compete with on a yearly basis in the ACC. But then I look around and say, okay, well, Florida just announced they're spending $100 million on a new football standalone facility, as well as improvements. That's a lump sum. There's improvements on the baseball and softball as well. But they also just spent over $100 million renovating, building an indoor practice facility, and renovating the O'Connell Center. So Florida has announced basically over $200 million in renovations, with most of it coming, a great majority of it coming to football, with an indoor practice facility and then a standalone football facility. Miami is already building an indoor practice facility. They're building a standalone football facility. Clemson, we know what they just built. It's the craziest $70 million slides and everything. They've spared no expense. So you think about your big rivals, Florida, Clemson, Miami, they're all going to have a standalone football facility, and you're not. So it's one of those things where, I understand where people are coming from. One of the argument I tried to make in this piece, though, was because, from talking to people at FSU, it's not just about that. From a functional standpoint, what they have in the Moore Center doesn't really work either. It's not as if they've got a perfectly suitable. It's not like you're driving a car. You've got like a Mercedes with 20,000 miles on it, and somebody else has a brand new Porsche, and you've got to try to match that. Florida State's kind of riding around in a little bit of a beater. I mean, they don't have enough offices for their staff. They don't have enough seats for all their players. They
14-year-old Civic. My
God. They can't eat as a team in the cafeteria. And again, all these things don't sound that bad, and they've made do. But at the end of the day, could you imagine Nick Saban going through some of this? Could you imagine Urban Meyer putting up with this? So I understand why Jimbo Fisher and his staff, when he's trying to sell these same recruits, go head-to-head with these schools. Look, I mean, I want to have the same tools everybody else has.
The problem for Florida State is, though, again, you're not Alabama and you're not Ohio State, and you're not Michigan.
But are you going to judge him compared to those schools?
Well, absolutely right. That's what I mean. It's absolutely the boosters and the fan base are going to expect to win at the same rate, expect to recruit at the same level, and bring home championships. And that's for fan bases across the board, many of whom see themselves in that same light but aren't. Not from a financial standpoint or a tradition-laden standpoint, where you're talking about teams that go back 100-plus years of playing football, and they have a huge head start in alumni base, and those that have gone on to be successful and rich who give back huge. I mean, we don't even have fully endowed scholarships at Florida State. It's crazy. So I just wonder how long Florida State can maintain and what the long-term plan is. And of course, Jimbo's right to ask. I would ask every day. I'd be asking for something new because he has to. His future employment probably depends on it to some extent, because if you fall too far behind and the recruits stop coming, you get beat, you lose job.
Well, there's no question. And this isn't a done deal. I haven't gotten when I did talk to President Thrasher a couple months ago, he said he wants to get this for Jimbo. He knows Jimbo wants this facility. He knows it'll be important for the program. He wants to get it for him. When we talked to Stan Wilcox, the athletic director, he said, yes, it's something we want to do. But FSU certainly has not allocated the money to do it yet. They haven't really, in earnest, begun the fundraising to do it. And when you look at, and I've got a stack of printouts of expansion projects at campuses around the country. South Carolina's building a new one. Texas A&M's got an unbelievable one. I mean, all these schools have spent all this money, and most of them have, that big lead donor, like you just said. They'll have somebody who just writes a check for $15 million or $20 million. FSU's never gotten a donation like that. I mean, Al Dunlap has his name on the indoor practice facility, and I believe it was $5 million. So again, I mean, I think FAU got a gift of $15 million. I mean, you've got to come up with some huge donors. You're not building these kinds of facilities by making it work with a bunch of $500,000 donations.
FAU?
Yeah, FAU's getting a facility.
Man, what are we doing here? South Carolina's never won nothing, and they're building a standalone, huh? Oh, my word. Well, it's nice to know that at least the powers that be are in agreement that it's necessary. And when would it start? When would we know? How soon will they say, yes, the project's begun and we've begun the fundraising? What?
Well, when I talked to Stan Wilcox a couple months ago, he said that they really hope to get some outlines kind of mapped out, some things mapped out so that they could take it on the booster tour this spring, and Jimbo could go out and kind of do some fundraising. I think it's something he's talking about, but I think they're still pretty far away from actually having like diagrams and things like that. Jimbo actually told me that the architects are working on it now because they don't know what's even feasible. Some people want them to repurpose the Moore Center and for football and then move the other sports somewhere else. I don't believe that's what Jimbo wants. I mean, Jimbo, I think, wants a practice or a football standalone facility that's not also part of the Moore Athletic Center. He wants to be kind of next to the indoor practice facility or something like that. So, but where could that be? How would they make it happen? There's a lot of questions that would have to be answered. And then once they figure that out, I think they'll have a better idea of what they're going to fundraise for, assuming they're going to do it. Because again, I don't think they've 100% signed, agreed that yes, it's going to be worth whatever the cost is going to be.
Time to steamroll the dick. It'd be right there next to the practice facility. It'd be all set. We can move that baseball stadium, the all-new baseball stadium, erect that sucker right over by Madison Social and that whole area in College Town. You walk out the bar with the food and the drink in hand and walk into a baseball stadium. Oh, buddy, what a glorious time. I need to go over there and start giving advice.
I'm sure that's how it's going to work.
I got a vision, man.
I hear you, buddy.
All right, so let's do this. Obviously, Dalvin falls to the second round, but as you noted and as I've talked about, he was still the third running back taken, so it's not a huge fall. It's just it's a little disappointing, obviously, for him and perhaps for some Florida State fans. But to me, the bigger story is a kind of a sad one, and that is Travis Rudolph doesn't get drafted, and we first guessed that. We've all said it didn't look like he was a kid that would be ready to go in the NFL or would be highly sought after. And then, of course, even Rod Johnson seemed to have gotten some bad advice as he falls to the fifth round. I'm curious, what do you know of why it was or how it was possible that Travis Rudolph declared, goes undrafted? Also, I gave a stat out last hour. 30% of the guys that declared early didn't get drafted across the board this year. That seems like a real problem for the league.
Yeah, I think the thing with Travis is, I think you can hear what you want to hear. From everything we've heard, Florida State's coaches did their research. They went back to him and said, look, man, we're not hearing that you're in high demand in the NFL. I'm not sure what they had his projection as, but I don't think it was very high at all. And so, that coupled with the fact he had told us before he wanted to earn his degree, I started thinking, okay, maybe he's going to come back, especially because you look at what this team could do next year. I mean, this could be a special team, especially if they had Rod Johnson and Travis Rudolph, which would be two nice pieces to have. But yeah, I think, whether it's family members, whether it's an agent who, fed him a line, whatever it is, or just his own supreme confidence. I mean, Travis came in with Dalvin. They came in at the same time. They were very good friends. I'm sure they both talked throughout the first 2 years of their careers, and even probably into the third year, we're 3 and done. After 3 years, we're going to go to the NFL and get rich and get paid and do all that. He knew Dalvin was going to do it. And I think he just had it in his mind that that's what he wanted to do. But no, nobody at FSU, and I don't think anybody at the NFL ever told him, oh, yeah, come on out. You're going to be going in the top 3 or 4 rounds.
And Rod Johnson, same thing, I guess, huh?
I think, yeah, very much the same. And I think the thing with Rod is, I would say the difference, the one thing I would say with Rod is, and I watched him, I think we may have talked about this. I watched him after the Orange Bowl, just wanted to see how he kind of soaked things up, and you kind of get the feeling he was done in college, the way he was walking around, and he was going up to play. He was going up to teammates. He was going up to staff members and telling them that he was planning to go, and he looked so happy. You know, he just looked like he was so ready to move on to the NFL, and I don't think they had their projections yet. So I think, again, it's a case where I think that kid just decided, hey, I've been the top blocker in the ACC for 2 years. I know what my measurables are. I'll test well, and maybe my film's not great, but I'll go and I'll test well, and I'll get drafted pretty high. And I think he just never, at that point, decided he was going to go. And again, FSU's coaches told him, man, you're not projected to go very high at all, and he still wanted to go. What's interesting to me is, usually it seems like this obviously must just not have been a very good year for offensive tackles, because very few went early, and then even when they started to go, it wasn't until much later. So I just think that this was a bad crop for him, and he clearly didn't, just didn't make a big impression.
Your thoughts on Dalvin in the second round?
I think Dalvin, to me, I think it's a combination of so many little things, and I'm with you. I don't think it was like this huge slide everybody talks about, because he's a running back, and two other running backs were taken in the first round. It was pretty clear that those teams identified those guys. It wasn't just, hey, we want a running back. Those two teams wanted those two guys. But as far as Dalvin goes, I just think if he had a clean bill of health. I know they've said that they weren't concerned about his shoulders, but he did have 3 shoulder surgeries. Maybe if he had a sterling clear background, or maybe if he never did have any ball security issues, or maybe if he was a little bit bigger. Whatever it is, it just seemed like there were little things kind of nagging at him. And I think at the end of the day, if I'm a team in the first round and I'm going to take a number 1 pick on a guy, and I've got other possibilities because the draft was crazy with quarterbacks going early and receivers going so early, that there were a lot of great players on the board. If a guy's got 2 or 3 things that I'm concerned about, I think that dropped him out more so than any great concern about his character.
I tend to agree with you. I do think there are enough questions about Dalvin that it's not surprising that he wasn't the second back taken. We knew he was never going to be the first back taken. That was going to be Fournette. I think if there's a surprise, it's that McCaffrey went as early as he did and was the second back taken. If you're trying to compare McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook, obviously we're biased here, but we think Dalvin's going to be the better prospect, although Dalvin can't operate as a slot receiver the way McCaffrey can.
Yeah, and they both have tons of talent, but yeah, I would say if you're looking for dings, if you're looking for concerns, I think there's more nagging concerns with Dalvin, and he may turn out to be a perfect pro. He may not have any problems at all. I don't think his character is going to be a huge problem, because I do think he's a competitor. He loves football. I think he's going to do really well up there. But I understand it. You don't want to. You can deal with 1 or 2 dings, but I think he had 3 or 4 that had people a little bit nervous.
Always appreciate it, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
All right, take care. Yeah, now, if Joe Mixon had gone, who, by the way, Mixon went 48th overall to Cincinnati, and we left at Cincinnati. Mixon's a hell of a player, as we saw at his time at Oklahoma, and when you look at him in terms of the total package. Now, everybody saw the video. Everybody knows what he did. Everybody knows what that is. And everybody kind of chuckles that Cincinnati, of all teams, is the one that took him, which is not surprising, of course, given their history. But if he had gone ahead of Dalvin, we would be having a different conversation. We would be talking about what in the world did teams find on Dalvin Cook that we don't know about, that they took Joe Mixon, who we've seen on tape, breaking a girl's face. But that didn't happen. Dalvin was the third back taken, and these days running backs often slide into the second round. I know it's got to be disappointing for him. Some people had him going top 10. There were mocks that had him going top 9. I saw some that had him fall to the middle of the second round. So there was a wide array of different opinions on Dalvin Cook and where he would fall, where he'd be slotted.
Well, in the immediate moments following the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selection, we were sitting next to each other. And
well, I celebrated big time. That was a great selection.
Well, so did Jason Light, because he never thought it would be possible for O.J. Howard to be there in that slot. And so in the immediate term, I was thinking along the lines of what Lita Kemper said when he joined the program from JoeBucksFan.com, and he said that if the Bucs pass on Dalvin, it's because they found something that spooked them away from the situation.
I don't think that was the case at all.
No.
It's that they had a selection of 4 different guys they could have taken with that pick, maybe 3 bare minimum, maybe all 4 that they didn't think would be there when they selected at 19. They could have gone with the Alabama triumvirate, and then I believe, what was the other one we said was still on the board at the time? Dalvin.
Yeah, well, it's Dalvin.
Yeah, Dalvin. So there you go.
To me, it was hard in the immediate moments, but it makes more sense that if you have a player like O.J. Howard available, you have to go get him. And if the Bucs, if you fell to 50, I'm sure maybe the Bucs would have considered it. But if you look at different reports, one report out of Green Bay says that it came down to 2 players. Dalvin was one of the 2 players, and exactly what Ira was saying. The amount of chatter about Dalvin scared Green Bay away from making that first pick on day 2, be Dalvin Cook. And then the other report was that the Eagles were interested in getting Dalvin Cook if he fell just a couple more spots, but Minnesota obviously takes Dalvin Cook. They say enough is enough. How far does this guy have to fall before he becomes a true steal in the draft? And so they said that Dalvin Cook would be their guy, and they didn't have a first-round pick. So if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, obviously
goodness.
you traded out your first pick for Sam Bradford to be your quarterback, and you don't have one on night 1. Then you get Dalvin Cook, this guy,
A first-round
many
talent,
mock
and
drafts
you have
have
a
said
needed running back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was a home run of a pick. They're
It was
going
a
to appreciate
celebratory-
that
yeah.
pick more than most teams would have appreciated taking Dalvin Cook.
Well, and if you look at I know we got to go to break, but it's kind of a fun subject to watch as these things get, as they play out, trying to figure out the reasoning for any player dropping for that matter. But think about a guy like Cam Robinson, huge offensive tackle out of Alabama, projected by most to go in the top 15, falls all the way to 34th, goes to Jacksonville. That's wow. That's a crazy situation. That guy can bend for a big man.
Yeah.
He can play right tackle, left tackle, you name it. Now, he had penalty issues and things like that, but that's wow.
But that's the indicting thing, I think, here for Rod Johnson and whatever advice he got or whatever he wanted to hear, because this is a thin offensive tackle draft. There are some years where if you go out, like DeMarcus Walker this year, he's a second-round pick, but, this was a draft littered with defensive end talent, rush end talent. So, he might be in another year where there's an average amount of defensive ends available to the NFL teams, somebody that's picked in the top 35. But because the way the defensive end board stacked up, he found his way into the middle of the second round. But for Rod Johnson, this is a light year for offensive tackles.
And he still
went in the fifth round.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine if it had been a good year? Might have gone undrafted. DeMarcus Walker, congratulations. I didn't bring you up in the first hour, but I should say this. For him, to go in the second round, great compared to what we projected him 2 years ago. And then also, or talked about him being in terms of not having the prototypical size.
Nor the impact that we thought we would get when he was the early enrollee with Jeremy Pruitt coming here.
Right, and so we love DeMarcus Walker, and I'm happy for him. But also, here's why I'm happy for him. What a place. They win with defense in Denver. It's what they do. They coach it well. They value it more than most teams. They draft to it. They sign free agents that way. That's what they want to do. They put their money on the defensive side of the football. They want to win with defense. He goes to that place with that culture that dominates on defense, and he's already hungry, and he's got veterans all around him to show him the way, the Denver way of playing defense, which has been pretty damn dominant for a number of years now. Could not have worked out better.
I know this position is extinct in the NFL, but congratulations to Freddie Stevenson for signing with the Chicago Bears.
Oh, I actually want to say I'm really sorry, Freddie, that you're going to, if you make that team.
That you're going to make that team?
Lose 15 games a year for the next 5 years. That organization is a freaking mess. I hope you just enjoy the paycheck.
Maybe they're so bad that Freddie gets some run.
He may be, I don't know, he may have to start at quarterback. Sweet Jesus. What a mess. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
If you are even thinking about buying a new car or truck this year, right now, today is the time. And this is the savings on a car purchase you've been waiting for. Tallahassee, today is the final day of a $10,730,000 massive automotive liquidation. Over 400 cars, trucks, and SUVs were priced to sell by the end of the day today at 8 p.m. 143 vehicles have been sold thus far. Today is your absolute last chance for unheard of savings. All sales final. No reasonable offers will be refused. First come, first served. Bring your title and your trade for fastest transaction. On-the-spot bank financing. Appraisers will be on hand to bid your trade. Factory rebates up to $10,000. 0% financing on select models. Choose from over 50 remaining pre-owned vehicles. Toyotas, Nissans, Hondas, you name it. Over 150 brand new vehicles remain, including SUVs and trucks. This event is taking place near Costco on Mahan Drive, on the lot at the Kraft Nissan Auto Dealership. There are only hours remaining for you to experience the savings. All vehicles will be sold by 8 p.m. today. We will, however, stay open as long as there are customers viewing the inventory. When it's over, it's over.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/17.
Allergy sufferers, my name's Nigel, and as a well-educated owl, I know the difference between what's wise and unwise. Texting after 3 glasses of Merlot? Unwise. Using new Zysol for 24-hour relief of your allergy symptoms? Quite wise. Because Zysol is just as effective at hour 24 as it is at hour 1, relieving your symptoms for a better night's sleep and a more productive day. So for continuous 24-hour allergy relief, don't be unwise. Be wise all. Take new Zysol. Use as directed.
Commercial lawnmowers don't have odometers, but if they did, you might be surprised to see you could be mowing thousands of miles a year. That's why Gravely zero-turn mowers are built for the long haul. So when you're mowing the equivalent of Miami through Kentucky bluegrass country, all the way to Seattle, and back again every year, you can count on your Gravely zero-turn mower to get the job done, mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
0 money down and 0% interest with qualifying credit. Only at TNT Supercenter. Get your Gravely mower today.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. I happened to see a GIF from our mutual friend Manny right before we get
the one with the Mets earlier
the
today?
Truck.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That truck on fire, barreling around the truck. That is so
Lord knows what country that's in.
That is so perfectly played. I'm going to keep that chip forever.
You should just retweet it for people to enjoy.
Oh, I will. Good
and
job.
reuse anytime any one of your franchises. Say you're a Bears fan.
There you go. I just retweeted
And you invited Mike Glennon to your draft party.
Which they did. And, I don't even... listen, that's a one-year rental. If he plays well, it will work out for the remainder of that contract. They'll go because they can get rid of that contract after 1 year. But they're giving him what, $14 million?
18 and a half.
$18 million and a half?
Guaranteed.
Oh my God, the Bears. It's hard to discern what that plan is in Chicago.
You think Matt Schaub called up Mike Glennon and said, nice? Or Matt Flynn called up Mike Glennon and said, nice, welcome to the club, brother. Welcome to being the coveted backup quarterback that nobody really knows and will pay to see.
Well, here's the deal, too. So if you draft Trubisky, if you're anybody who did, because there's a dearth of games played, 13 in college?
13 starts,
and you
second overall in the draft.
And you move up to get him, and you bid against yourself. That's a tough one, okay? But you can't undo it. It's happened. So what's the best case scenario for that kid and for that organization? It's for Glennon to kick ass and be the starter for the next, 3+ years as you learn the speed of the game and an NFL offense, something you've not dealt with in any way. That North Carolina Mickey Mouse offense, does not translate. So if that happens and you can build slowly to your first start and to the weight of the world being on your shoulders in due time, we kind of use a throwback there, the way they used to draft quarterbacks where guys sat behind a starter for years on end, then it would work out. But that's typically not the case. If you draft a quarterback number 2 overall that you gave up a king's ransom for, that people want him to start right now. But that's not going to work for him. I mean, you can't do that for him.
You could spin this as a positive thing if you didn't trade up one spot and give up top 100 picks for that spot. You could say, we are drafting Mitch Trubisky because we believe, though he has limited experience, his ceiling is through the roof, and we have a perfect situation where we have a capable NFL veteran coming in, and he's under a 3-year contract, and we want to see what Mike Glennon's got. But Mitch Trubisky, let there be no doubt, is our backup quarterback and is going to learn the NFL game for the next 2 seasons, and people could get behind that. But the problem is that you did make the trade to go up there, and apparently you didn't even tell your head coach that you were making the trade.
Well, that's the rumor that is out there, is that Fox was not told that they were taking a quarterback. I get this idea of having a GM and a football staff, a scouting staff, and all that, kind of not separate, but different than that of the wants and desires of a head coach. I think it's awfully hard to be a head coach in any sport and act as a GM and do it both well. Few and far between are the examples where that exists. And I'll give you I'll use this as an example. To me, if you're going to look at the situation with Doc Rivers with the Clippers, right? Think about what he did in bringing in his son and paying Austin all that money. And that kid sucks. That's crazy, but he did that as a GM. He has that power to do that. They always talk about the great relationships that he has with his players, and that's what makes him a special coach. Like, nobody ever points to him and says that, he's like Larry Brown. They'll say it's because, as a former player himself and a good one, he gets players. He gets players in a way that they grow to love him. They become fast friends. Well, that's good and bad, right? That means you'll run through fire for a guy, but that doesn't mean that you're able to separate a player's ability as a GM and the way you think about money and all of that's tied together. It gets very hard to do that when you become that close. And so the thought now is with the Clippers falling out yet again is what do we do? Do we blow them up or what do we do? Well, what you do is you tell Doc Rivers he's no longer the GM. That you're not making personnel decisions. We'll give you the players. You coach them. Or you start fresh with them altogether and you blow the whole thing up. But that's a different discussion. So I get why you want the separation there, but you can't. Your head coach has to have a say in the players you're bringing in. I don't want it to the degree where you're not talking to your head coach about what your plans are. I mean, how do you go into a draft, trade away picks, and do all that they did to move up a spot that you didn't have to do to get Mitch Trubisky, and your head coach does? If that's true, the head coach had no idea. Well, you just light the whole place on fire. What the hell are we doing?
And that report is according to Lockenfora, who works for CBS these days, Jason Lockenfora, who has good sources in the NFL. And he said they couldn't find a front office executive who knew what the Bears were doing. That's how bad it was. I mean, think about it. You're picking third, and you know that Trubisky's not going number 1 overall, and you know he's not going number 2 overall.
Well, apparently they didn't know he wasn't going number 2 overall.
There are 2 picks in front of you, and you trade up to get one of them.
Yeah,
there are 2 picks.
They got played. But it sounds like they got played by John Lynch,
who's a rookie GM,
but a Stanford guy.
This is true.
So he made the use of that noggin.
Well, Cleveland's offering a 3rd and a 4th to come up for the 2nd pick after they pick 1st overall.
That's what you would have had to sell.
Yeah,
Actually,
exactly.
You would have had to sell that, right? And I suppose there's an outside chance that could be true. Cleveland is bat blank crazy.
Right, and that's what you would sell, even if they weren't picking up the phone or you didn't have them on hold.
Right, that's what you would sell and then giggle as somebody buys it, but no. And you're not ready. Like, they're a long ways off from competing, so you need to stockpile picks. You need a lot of things in Chicago right now. Mitch Trubisky, it's not like Mitch Trubisky's Jameis Winston. You don't have a sure thing. You got a guy that started 13 games in college in a system that's nothing like what you're going to run in the NFL.
And that's the funny thing about watching that first round on Thursday night was that you and I were talking as the first 12 picks or so go through, and we say, man, maybe we should just trade back. Because Buffalo traded back, and you're thinking, well, if this is the price you're going to...
Well, and a lot of good players kept falling.
And that's what I'm saying. But if this is the price that it takes for somebody to trade up to where you're going, then the Bucs should trade back. But then we get to about pick 13, 14, and we're counting the good players that are left, and we're saying, no, you stay right here. Because all of these teams in front of us are dumb. You're going to have the pick of 4 or 5 guys that you thought were going to go in the top dozen. This is the place you want to be. Stay right at 19. Unless somebody gives you the sweetest of sweetheart deals. It's just bizarre how that first round went.
Well, we said, and this was one of the best parts about it, we said going in, this promises to be one of the most unpredictable drafts we've seen in the last 10 to 15 years. Partly because there's a dearth of quarterbacks that you can put the stamp of, that's Andrew Luck. He's going to make it. To what degree is he great is open for debate, but he's going to make it. That's Jameis Winston. To what degree will he be excellent? That's up for debate, but he's going to make it. He'll be a verifiable starter in the league who looks like a starter in the NFL at quarterback. We've had drafts where you see a few quarterbacks like that, and you go, yeah. This draft had none of those. Maybe one of them makes it. Maybe more than one of them makes it. Maybe Deshaun Watson makes it. I'm rooting for him, too. Maybe everybody's surprised by Mahomes. Maybe he does. I mean, he's got the arm strength.
And was there a position where at any point, at any one of the positions, you said that there are 3 or 4 guys who can't miss at this position? No, not really. There may have been 1 or 2, but then by the time you get to pick 7 or 8 overall in the round, you're saying, well, all of these guys are about the same. I mean, they're about the same level of projection. We like them. We think they'll work in a particular system, but,
the closest
for
thing
one reason or another.
Yeah, I think the closest, it's a deep draft for safeties. It was a very deep draft for safeties, and maybe running back, you could say those first 3 or 4 guys are going to make it.
The third one went in the second round. What I'm saying is between pick, say, 8 or 9 and 50 on draft night, is there really a discernible difference? Like in years past where you say, boy, if you don't get in that top 8,
if you don't get that group now, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Right. The Bears traded up to, and by the way, that story, you referenced it. Let me get it out there quick before we go to break. The Bears traded up to draft North Carolina quarterback Mitchell Trubisky at number 2 overall on the first night of the draft. You know that. Mike Glennon signed a deal with the Bears in the offseason that's going to pay him around $15 million per. The team asked Glennon to attend their draft party on the club level at Soldier Field, according to the Chicago Tribune. So he's at this draft party. He was there. He had no idea that the team was then going to move up and draft his successor in Mitch Trubisky. The Tribune's Rich Campbell said Glennon felt as though he had been cheated on, according to people in the know. He also wasn't the only one left in the dark on the deal. Apparently, head coach John Fox did not know that's the direction the Bears were going to go. We didn't know what the hell they were doing, an unnamed team exec, told Jason LaCanfora. It's all anybody's talking about these days. It's really bad between Bears GM Ryan Pace and Fox. Fox is fuming about being left in the dark on the trade for Trubisky. I don't know anyone who likes their draft at all. Pace told reporters on Thursday night via ESPN that the team was still moving forward with Glennon as their starting quarterback. Considering the $18.5 million guaranteed they've given him this offseason, that would be wise.
Can you imagine, John Fox chewing on his gum going, we're trading up? I guess we're getting Solomon Thomas. That's a good pick.
Yeah, good pick. He's a good player.
Mitchell Trubisky.
As for Pace, he says, Mike Glennon is our starting quarterback. There is no quarterback competition when Mitch gets here. Glennon is our starting quarterback. We'll focus on Mitch's development and Mike Glennon winning games for the Chicago Bears. Like 3 of them. Maybe. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Check out your many DeWalt FlexVolt options at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener, your FlexVolt headquarters. Buy any of the following T1 DeWalt FlexVolt kits for $2.99, 60-volt max grinder kit or 60-volt max brushless reciprocating saw kit, and add one 60-volt DeWalt battery pack for less than half price. See store for details. FlexVolt, power of corded, freedom of cordless. Cornerstone Tool & Fastener, 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon.
New trends are in and the deals are on because this week at Goodies, it's all for mom. It's the Goodies Mother's Day sale. Hurry in for 30% off all the hottest trends like lace, embroidery, pastels, and our personal favorite, florals with a romantic twist. Score 30% off fashion accessories and handbags too. The Mother's Day sale is happening now. And remember, we have fresh deals every day with even more new looks arriving monthly. Goodies. What will new bring out in you? Goodies is part of our Stage family. Offer exclusions apply.
The Home Depot has a new idea. Free carpet installation that means free carpet installation. Clearing out furniture? Free. Ripping out old carpet? No charge. Hauling it away? On the house. No hidden fees, just free installation on carpet $699 or more. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid on carpet priced $1 or more per square foot. Unique specialty items and requirements may be priced separately. Not valid in all markets. See HomeDepot.com for details. Offer ends June 7th.
Are you wanting to raise some extra cash fast? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need to clean out that garage full of stuff you never use? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need a newer car or truck and don't want to break the bank? Think Thrifty Nickel. Buying or selling, your best bet is Thrifty Nickel. All ads appear in print and online for maximum results. Place your ad today and ask for their guaranteed results special. Call 385-0505. Get your free copy of American Classifieds, available at hundreds of locations throughout the greater Tallahassee area.
When it comes to live gaming excitement, Creek Entertainment Gretna is your hometown headquarters. With live poker and simulcast race betting, you've got more winning opportunities right here close to home. Plus, we now offer 3-card poker and Pai Gow in our card room. Satisfy big appetites at Stables, featuring hot and cold sandwiches, salads, and weekend specials. There's always something exciting going on at Creek Entertainment Gretna. I-10 exit 174, Gretna, Florida.
Shot side, rebound, score!
The playoffs are here. The Corner Pocket is your home all spring long for all the heart-pounding moments in the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's held in a shot, safe, rebound,
The Corner Pocket on Appalachian Parkway next to Earth Fair is your headquarters for FSU and Major League Baseball. Trivia Tuesdays, Beer Bingo Thursdays, and of course, all the moments you'll never forget.
for the championship!
The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
If you're struggling to pay or haven't been making your student loan payments, listen carefully to this urgent alert. Have you been out of school for 10 or more years and you're still making your student loan payments? Are your student loans past due or even in default? Can't go back to school because of an old student loan problem? We can help you if you qualify. Your student loans can be taken out of default. We can stop the wage garnishments, stop the collection calls, and stop the seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and see if we can help you reduce your student loan payments. One quick 10-minute call could solve them right now. So call the Student Loan Helpline now. 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201. That's 800-419-2201. This is a fee-based document preparation service to help you access free government programs. Call for complete details, not available in all states.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stop in at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
While we're on the subject of when your organization is doing something that you can only laugh about, the Buffalo Bills, after the draft, fired everybody. I mean, a few hours after the completion of the NFL draft, Buffalo's owner, Terry, is it Pagula?
I think that's right, yeah.
Announced that the team would be firing their entire front office.
Bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Everyone! He fired Doug Whaley, he's the GM, along with the entire scouting staff. You sorry bastards. Get out! The team has gone 30-34 under Whaley, who has been GM since 2013. They had one winning season in that stretch. That was in 2014 when they went 9-7. They extended the Bills' playoff drought to a miserable 17 years. Do you think the owner, got up, Terry woke up after the final pick on the last day of the draft, looked at the hall, scanned that sheet, read the write-ups from those scouts, called Doug, asked him about those selections, and said, yeah, you're fired. All of you. Get the hell out of my office. We're starting over. This clown show stops now.
I would hope if he did something really amazingly passive-aggressive where he said, I'm just going to call together an exit meeting for the scouts. Guys, it's been a long process, but I want to bring everybody in for one final meeting. In fact, there's going to be free pizza. And, it's a thank you for all the hard work throughout scouting season. I know you guys are about to go on your 2-week break. your little hiatus. It's a vacation well-deserved.
Free pizza.
And hope you guys are enjoying. Yep, that's right.
Enjoy that Domino's, guys.
I was going to say CC's.
We went all in.
Here's your CC's. You're all fired.
There's pineapple on that one, Frank.
Anybody who has a playbook, please leave it up here at the front. You may take another slice of pizza on your way out.
We'd also like the keychains. If you got Bill's keychains, I don't want you to have those on your way out.
Bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Everyone! When will Cincinnati do that? When will Cincinnati go, oh, man. You just feel sometimes a new set of eyes, right? Just a new set of eyes. One that's not always fixated on criminals. Just a new pair of eyes that doesn't say, you know who I want? That guy that's committed the most heinous crime. That's the guy I want. No, go another route. I'm not saying you have to go Tim Tebow here. I mean, you do have to find guys that can play. But damn, man, when that came up, when their selection came up, I laughed and said, well, this will be funny. If they go Mixon, it's too perfect. There's no way, right? There's no way they're going to go Mixon. And then they did it. Part of me thinks that is incredibly admirable. As I've said before, they just don't care what you think about their organization.
Well, they're trying to establish the same kind of continuity that the Pittsburgh Steelers have established with their head coaches. Marvin Lewis has been the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals since 2003.
Yeah.
It's 2017.
Yeah.
They've won as many playoff games as you and I have.
I know, man. That's the moment that they sit down and like, we're going to go with Mixon. Do they all high five? Do they all celebrate that a player with that background is still in play? Like, we got him. The guy we wanted. Who? Mixon. Oh, that's perfect for us. Exactly.
Who do you think, Robert?
Yeah.
We're the Bengals.
This is what we do. Think about our locker room. This is perfect. Think of the tutelage that guy's going to get from a Pac-Man Jones or a Perfect. This is absolutely perfect.
Maybe he and Jeremy Hill can compare notes.
Good times indeed. They just don't. They should bring in free agents with steeped in criminal backgrounds. Sign one after the other. Like the guys that don't make it, that don't get drafted, we always look for those names to see where they go. The Bengals should just be a list of guys that have had various felonies. Just keep a tradition alive.
Is that Greg Hardy at the facility?
That's beautiful. Trade for Greg Hardy. Well, you don't have to trade, do you?
Just pick him up. Sign him to a 10-year deal.
Maybe a friend of his, too.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
even thinking about buying a new car or truck this year, right now, today is the time. And this is the savings on a car purchase you've been waiting for. Tallahassee, today is the final day of a $10,730,000 massive automotive liquidation. Over 400 cars, trucks, and SUVs were priced to sell by the end of the day today at 8 p.m. 143 vehicles have been sold thus far. Today is your absolute last chance for unheard of savings. All sales final. No reasonable offers will be refused. First come, first served. Bring your title and your trade for fastest transaction. On-the-spot bank financing. Appraisers will be on hand to bid your trade. Factory rebates up to $10,000. 0% financing on select models. Choose from over 50 remaining pre-owned vehicles. Toyotas, Nissans, Hondas, you name it. Over 150 brand new vehicles remain, including SUVs and trucks. This event is taking place near Costco on Mahan Drive, on the lot at the Kraft Nissan Auto Dealership. There are only hours remaining for you to experience the savings. All vehicles will be sold by 8 p.m. today. We will, however, stay open as long as there are customers viewing the inventory. When it's over, it's over.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
This morning you're up early because you're at the DMV. So many people, it takes so much time. Do you have the right form? Are you in the right line? Your number E42, right after C23. This is confusing when your morning is hell. Just go to Taco Bell.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's Breakfast Crunch Wrap. A whole breakfast wrapped up and grilled to eat on the go. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac is back at it, supporting the High School Scholar Athlete of the Month on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Listen every Wednesday to hear our monthly winners. Check them out at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMCCadillac.com.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon with the dust settled for Florida State players. Dalvin Cook, DeMarcus Walker, Roderick Johnson, and Marquez White were drafted at the end of the 7 rounds on Sunday in the NFL draft in Philly. Cook goes 41 overall in the second round to the Vikings. Walker to the Broncos also in the second round. Johnson is a member of the Cleveland Browns in the 5th round, and White heads to the Dallas Cowboys in the 6th round. Then the free agent frenzy began. Freddie Stevenson will sign with the Chicago Bears. Bobo Wilson will rejoin Jameis Winston. He is headed to Tampa. Travis Rudolph signs with the New York Giants. Kermit Whitfield says he's going to the Bears, although the Bears have not yet confirmed that. Also over the weekend, Oregon received commitments from 5 ESPN 300 players, including 4-star defensive back Isaiah Bolden from Zephyr Hills. He announced his commitment, decommitted from Florida State, although the Noles are absolutely loaded in this year's upcoming DB class.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stop in at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom, and a good Monday to all of you. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do, remember we got you covered. All 3 hours going to be posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's a good thing. It'll be brought to you with limited commercial interruption thanks to our great sponsor, CarltonDean.com. Go to CarltonDean.com. Find out the ways in which they can help you make money through commercial real estate, income-producing properties, CarltonDean.com. Email the show if you like, JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. The WTSM app works for both your iPhone and Android. We're on the YouTube feed, ESPN Tallahassee. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you're doing well out there. Thanks for watching the show. And, yeah, man, an eventful weekend. Obviously, the draft got underway on Thursday night. Real quick before we move forward with the rest of the hour, thanks to everybody who came out and helped out with that. A lot of money was raised for the Kids First Fund, and that's great every year. Then we played in the golf tournament the next day, and that was fun too, and it was good to see everybody. Had a lot of fun. Every year at this time, around that time, it makes me smile to know that a good cause is benefiting, and that so many people come together to do it in our community. And that's to all of you who came out and helped out.
Yeah, for Thursday and Saturday, the two events at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill and 7th Hill Tap Room that benefited the Kids First Fund. Obviously, the silent auction with some great memorabilia and experiences, so congratulations to everybody who won those. And then, of course, the casino night on Saturday, which was games of chance, some Las Vegas-style poker and 21, all those kinds of games. Hope that was a rousing event. I saw some photos from it. It looked like it was a good time. And then, obviously, on Friday, we were benefiting Florida State scholarships through the Tallahassee Seminole Club. So a couple of really great causes, one for education and one for finding a cure. And I hope we do.
Yeah, so every year it happens. And next year, if you didn't get a chance to be a part of it this year, hopefully you'll join us. And we look forward to it. It is a lot of fun. And thanks to CP and obviously to War Chant and the Seminole Boosters and all that good stuff. So that was fun. All right, that said, draft party was, it was a good time to watch as that thing played out. And I began the show by saying, obviously, as a Bucs fan, I couldn't be more elated with being able to get a player of the caliber of Howard at that spot is kind of surprising. But I thought it was the right pick, even if it was at the expense of perhaps Dalvin Cook, who did fall into the second round. That in and of itself, as we've said earlier, but to recap for those just getting in their cars, is not all that stunning, Dalvin falling. He was still the third running back taken. It wasn't as if 4 or 5 guys went ahead of him. And that's not that uncommon these days with running backs. But, a combination of some injuries here at Florida State and perhaps concerns about some of his friends, guys he hangs out with when he's not on campus, coupled with, as we've said, some injury history led to him being passed over. But I do think he goes to a perfect situation in Minnesota. I think it's good for him to leave the state. I think he goes to a place they want to run the football. They've had great success running the football. He's replacing a guy in Adrian Peterson who was a bona fide bad guy. So it's a step forward for Minnesota to put a Dalvin Cook in the backfield.
Well, and you have Latavius Murray there too. So obviously he's coming off of an injury problem of his own. But let's just say that backfield is at full strength. Then he doesn't have to be integrated into the NFL where he's carrying the ball 25 times and it's, 3 and out, worst case scenario because of another injury that crops up. Dalvin can be part of a tandem and be the explosive part of a tandem for the first couple of years of his career, unless he just demands the ball more with production. And wouldn't we all like to see that for him up in the Vikings?
Weird draft in that, we thought it might be unpredictable. It turned out to be that way. As far as the surprises go, well, I would just say that there we were, 18, 19, 20, 21 picks into the draft, and there were still so many guys still on the board that were projected top 15, top 10. So a lot of teams in that area, that happened to be where Tampa was drafting, had to feel good about opportunities to select big-time players that they probably would have presumed would be off the board by the time they went. Of course, the Bears, with the shock of the draft, moving up, bidding against themselves and nobody else that we can discern to grab Mitchell Trubisky as the first quarterback taken in this draft was stunning. It might work out long-term. I doubt it. But that said, it wasn't a great quarterback draft to begin with.
It's impossible to predict insanity, but it was funny.
Usually you'd say Cleveland's going to make that kind of a mistake.
But it was funny to watch the NFL Network desk in those couple of minutes when the trade was completed, and they're suggesting 2 or 3 names that are most certainly going to be the pick.
Defensive end, yeah.
Solomon Thomas.
Sure.
And then it's Trubisky. And those poor guys, they all have to scramble, and they look bad for it. But, the further away you get from that night and those moments, how could you possibly have thought that's the direction the Bears were going? It wasn't possible.
You would have to be
the
on
head
the desk.
coach, it was impossible.
Well, he didn't know. Yeah. No, you'd have to be on the desk and say, well, I don't know what this is about, but unless they're going to do something asinine like take Mitch Trubisky, I don't know. I got to go with a defensive end here or a defensive tackle. I mean, that they have to just be guessing, just throwing darts. They have no idea at that point because nobody understood why you were moving up to do that to begin with. The other part of the draft, of course, is we look at all the players. DeMarcus Walker goes to Denver. Great situation there for him. He goes in the second round. He goes to a place that wins with defense. He goes to a place that has a veteran-laden defense and great coaching. Could really work out for him. Unfortunately, Rod Johnson, the offensive tackle from Florida State, falls all the way to the 5th round. Ira suggested last hour that, look, he just wanted to go. Whatever the advice was, doesn't seem like it was good advice, but he was ready to leave Florida State and get his pro career started. So he gets his opportunity now in the 5th round, probably later than he would have liked. And for Travis Rudolph, it's devastating. He goes undrafted, and now you have to knock on wood that he makes a team and finds a way as an undrafted free agent. But whatever advice he got was dreadful.
Well, and before the final before the first game of the 2016 season, we would have said that Marquez White would be somebody that would go maybe by the end of day 2, just because of the hip pocket nature that he could bring to the defensive backfield. But he goes day 3 to the Cowboys, and maybe that's a value pick for them. But he's kind of lost in the shuffle. We're talking about Rod Johnson and Travis Rudolph leaving early, and rightfully so, because their stock was, compared to what they thought their stock was,
sure,
it plummeted. And they must have been stunned as this weekend developed. And you feel awful for them. But Marquez goes to the Cowboys. I believe it was in the 6th round. And then a couple other players. Freddie Stevenson signs an undrafted free agent deal with the Chicago Bears. Bobo Wilson signs a deal. And he signs a deal with Tampa Bay, reunited with Jameis Winston, if only for OTAs or the preseason. And I believe also Kermit Whitfield was looking at the Bears. I'm not sure if that deal got signed.
That hasn't been confirmed yet. But, yeah, we'll knock on wood for all those guys. We wish them well, and hopefully it works out for all those guys. I thought one of the highlights of the draft was Drew Pearson, former Cowboy great, standing before the Eagles crowd and riling them on. And before he belted out and said, 5-time Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys, you could just see that he couldn't wait to enrage a group that is so easily infuriated. And it worked. It worked perfectly. And the louder they booed, the more demonstrative he got. Now, he came out later on and said that, in fact, and if this is true, it's probably the coolest thing Roger Goodell's ever done. Goodell encouraged him to do it. Get it on. Make it happen. Philadelphia's a good place for the draft, though. They love their football. They're vocal about it. All of the days that this thing transpired, it seemed that they were active and involved and made it a little bit more fun.
I think if you were like most NFL fans, by day 3, he can take or leave the draft.
Yeah,
you might have left it on for a couple extra minutes just because of the atmosphere. I mean, it was infectious. You turn it on. Again, it doesn't matter what the sport is. You could have watched Premier League yesterday with Arsenal and Tottenham. And because of the atmosphere, you might stay a couple extra minutes because you can feel the electricity.
Yeah.
And I know, it's the NFL draft, and that's kind of stupid. But it's really cool. I think they should move it around to some of these big cities where the fans are rabid.
They're going to move it around. They're going to keep doing it.
As many as 16 different cities have already called the NFL inquiring as to whether or not they can bid for the rights to hosting the NFL draft. That's great.
Almost to a man, the people that covered the draft said this was infinitely better than when it was in Chicago. And then obviously for all the years it was in New York. But pretty cool that they had it outdoors there in Philadelphia. Now all these cities would like to have it.
I'm sure Seattle would host a hell of a draft party. Those people are passionate as hell.
I might even go if it were in Seattle. And I don't care anything about going and attending a draft. Pearson, as he left the stage to a chorus of boos, showed off his Super Bowl rings. That is rich.
If you go to major cities, like, and let's say that you could bring out Jerome Bettis and talking about the officials were paid off or something like that in Seattle.
Oh, we're going to make this a WWE event here soon enough.
Well, it's the draft. I mean, they do send it off to those sometimes very touching moments where somebody gets to make a pick that always wanted to make a pick.
Oh, well, there were a couple. We had a Make-A-Wish Foundation draft, if you recall, on Thursday night where a young man came out and got an opportunity to do it for his favorite team. I'm like, man, come on, what are we doing here? I'm in public.
And then there was
we can't do this.
On Saturday, there was the pick out of the Grand Canyon for the Arizona Cardinals, the wife and child of a slain police officer in Arizona who loved his Cardinals. So they got to make the pick for the organization. But then there are just some wacky ones. There are just,
I like the idea of Hall of Fame players for the various franchises coming out and then riling up the fans. That is perfect.
I think, they had Robert Brooks. I think he was the one who started off, I think it was day 2, but it might have been day 3. And then he does the Lambeau leap with the statue of the fans. It just makes no sense. Why not? Why not make it interesting? Because it can be just so bland.
Just make it bizarre. Baseball didn't fare as well as the draft for your viewing pleasure over the weekend, friends. No, started off well enough. Florida State takes game 1 against Virginia. You think to yourself, all right, that's what you do if you want to win a big-time series against UVA, furthering that RPI up the ladder there. Florida State at that point after the win, I think it moved projected 30th in the RPI, and you're still holding out hope, slim as it might be, that Florida State could host a regional. And, we're not considering this to be the lost cause that we were 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when we were wondering about postseason invitations to begin with. But bitterly disappointing after getting the win in which Cole Sand starts in the game on Friday. The Noles watch as it unravels on Saturday. Holton was not sharp, comparatively speaking, and this is a guy you thought you got basically your ace going after you got a game in hand. You got a real chance to put a stamp on this thing, win the series, and go for a very unlikely sweep in the Sunday game. But instead, he's not sharp, and we go from a game where you're right there through 5, and it completely unravels, and you get blanked, you get 2 hit, you get beat down pretty badly, 8-0. So there it is. It all comes down to Sunday. And Tom and I have said for a number of weeks now, I just do not understand the philosophy here. We were told that at some point, and I know this sounds like sour grapes, and it's, in retrospect, no. What are we doing with Drew Carlton? Because it would seem to me he's one of your 3 best starting pitching options. We're told that, basically this hasn't worked out with the move to the back end of the bullpen because too often he's underutilized in series. He comes into games where they're down or up big, but not to where he can have an impact at the start of a game. And because he's one of your best arms, perhaps we got to use him either as first man out of that pen in a different role, extended long relief and or start. Well, once again, he doesn't make a start. You get into Sunday's game, Carp sucks, gives you absolutely nothing. And I don't mean as a human being. I just mean, obviously, as a pitcher, he was dreadful and literally didn't do a thing to help your cause. So you got to pull him immediately. And now you're reeling. You make a gallant effort in coming back. You get another home run from Mendoza, who's seeing the baseball really well. Offense really isn't the question by and large for this baseball team. Pitching is. And I don't know if they'll shake it up or not. I was surprised Carp was the guy and not Parrish to begin with, or Carlton. It's neither. We'll see if they shake it up. In the interim, you have to think that I guess they're content in using one of their best arms late in games that they're losing.
Lefty-righty, I don't understand how you would promote Carp from the midweek to the weekend because he's been giving you no reason to do anything of the sort. And with Carlton, we were told that his role would be drastically different. Well, if you look at the participation in this weekend series, it looks exactly the same as the way they were using him when they moved him to the bullpen.
3
2/3 yesterday.
Yeah, in a game which they're losing.
Okay, yeah, it's a scoreless 3 2/3, but that might have been more helpful to start the baseball game. Maybe you'd like to get into the 4th inning and not have Virginia on the board, and maybe you grab a 2 or 3-0 lead, and then maybe the momentum's on your side because in college sports momentum matters more than it even does in the pros, but momentum matters, and so does putting players who can help you win games
in the best
position to succeed.
Well,
so by the time Wake gets here, that has to be changed.
We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I've been thinking it was going to change for some time now. It hasn't. They lose this series, and it's no shame in losing a series to a very good Virginia team. What's at contention here? What the point of contention isn't that you lost a series at home against a really good Virginia team. They are good, and it's not stunning to lose 2 out of 3 to a team that's good. It's baseball after all. It's that you're not perhaps putting your best foot forward. You're not giving yourself the best opportunity to win games, and that is infinitely frustrating, and it could lead to, obvious, very real consequences as you're shipped off onto the road for regionals.
And to be sure, when this move was first made, it looked like Parrish was going to be solid and that Carp was this option because he had, the firing fastball that you don't really see in college baseball that often. And so you had a pitching rotation, a starting rotation that was 4 deep, and the bullpen was a complete disaster. And so you needed Carlton to go down there and shore it up because he's not afraid of any moment. In that moment, when that decision was made, it wasn't crazy. But at some point along the way, you realize
it's way back at the beginning of the year.
The bullpen, exactly, yes. At some point
a long
in the last
time ago, you've had
couple
plenty of time
months,
to assess the situation.
Right. Just not trying to rewrite the situation, saying that when it first happened, we were first guessing say it was a bad move.
We thought they had enough starting pitching. They had already been dealt a couple of blows because the bullpen wasn't able to close out games, and we thought, okay, at that point you gotta figure something out. So that was the option, that was the choice. But as the year wore on, whether it be through happenstance, where in a lot of games that you could have used him, the situation didn't call for it because you had a big lead. Like when they were winning games, they were winning games big. When they were losing big. So he was never really in play.
Sure, and the idea of putting out a fire, right? A lot of times in the major leagues, you see a closer not want to pitch any other inning but the 9th inning, and the reason is he needs his saves because he's a closer. And there's the great debate about, well, is this out with the bases loaded and 2 out in the 5th inning, the one that's going to propel me to win a baseball game? Should I not use my best reliever in that situation? But he's the closer. You can't. You pay him too much money, so he has to pitch the 9th inning. In Carlton's circumstance, he's a converted starter, and he's a guy that you were talking about using twice in a given weekend anyway, and that's the reason he agreed to make the move.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't he be the first man up when there's any sign of trouble with your starting pitcher on a given week?
And they're struggling here with this situation just from a pitching standpoint. It's very aggravating. I mean, to what extent you would blame Mike Martin, Mike Bell, Mike Martin Jr.? I mean, I don't know. We don't know the inner workings of how that works. But in terms of assessing players, recruiting players at that position as pitchers, and getting the most out of them and developing them and seeing them improve, whether that be through velocity or where they get drafted and how they perform, they seem to be struggling to find some consistency there and to properly bring in these guys because they're not elite. They haven't had an elite pitching staff in some time.
It's just incredible to me that the guy who went down to Gainesville and shoved last year, which is one of the better performances you'll ever see in this program's history in the postseason, given what Florida was, what we thought we were, and then what he was able to do in that game. And he comes back, and he's not any worse than he was last year that we can tell. And yet you don't get hardly anything out of him in a given year. That's just nuts.
They're saving it for the end, Tom. That's what they're going to do. They're going to roll him out
his
there.
Arm.
They
know
decided, all right,
there's a finite amount of innings. Let's just play around with the media here.
We got you right up on the brink there. You're about to lose your sanity, but we have a plan in place. He's going to charge the ring. It's just the right time to save the day, baby. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Appreciate saving money. So during Lowe's Pro Appreciation Event, Pro customers can ask to save 10% on in-store paint and paint accessories purchases when you use your Lowe's Business Credit account. So hurry in and save on the supplies pros use every day. Visit the Pro Desk for details. Offer valid 4/27 through 5/10. Subject to credit approval and can't be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/17.
Allergy sufferers, my name's Nigel, and as a well-educated owl, I know the difference between what's wise and unwise. Texting after 3 glasses of Merlot? Unwise. Using new Zysol for 24-hour relief of your allergy symptoms? Quite wise. Because Zysol is just as effective at hour 24 as it is at hour 1, relieving your symptoms for a better night's sleep and a more productive day. So for continuous 24-hour allergy relief, don't be unwise. Be wise all. Take new Zysol. Use as directed.
If you are even thinking about buying a new car or truck this year, right now, today is the time. And this is the savings on a car purchase you've been waiting for. Tallahassee, today is the final day of a $10,730,000 massive automotive liquidation. Over 400 cars, trucks, and SUVs were priced to sell by the end of the day today at 8 p.m. 143 vehicles have been sold thus far. Today is your absolute last chance for unheard of savings. All sales final. No reasonable offers will be refused. First come, first served. Bring your title in your trade for fastest transaction. On-the-spot bank financing. Appraisers will be on hand to bid your trade. Factory rebates up to $10,000. 0% financing on select models. Choose from over 50 remaining pre-owned vehicles. Toyotas, Nissans, Hondas, you name it. Over 150 brand new vehicles remain, including SUVs and trucks. This event is taking place near Costco on Mahan Drive, on the lot at the Kraft Nissan Auto Dealership. There are only hours remaining for you to experience the savings. All vehicles will be sold by 8 p.m. today. We will, however, stay open as long as there are customers viewing the inventory. When it's over, it's over.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities reminds you that it'll be summertime before you know it, and summer's when we all benefit from positive environmental practices like saving energy, water, and money. Because after all, it's all connected. When your home is energy efficient, you save money on your utility bill, but you also help the environment because using less energy saves precious natural resources. Here are a few simple tips. Easy things you can do to use less energy. In the summertime, set your AC thermostat to 78 degrees and even a little higher when you're away from home. You'll be amazed at the money you'll save. Close shades, drapes, and blinds during the day. It keeps the house a lot cooler. Choose the proper AC fan setting. Put it on auto, not on. Auto saves energy. On runs continuously, and that runs into money. And while you're at it, schedule a free energy audit with the City of Tallahassee Utilities to identify low-cost and no-cost ways to make your home more energy efficient. You'll save energy, water, and money, and you'll help the environment too, because after all, it's all connected. A message from the #1 public utility in America. Learn more at talgov.com/YOU.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. I was just looking at the quarterbacks, if that's an accurate list that somebody just posted via Twitter, admittedly not my list, but I am curious, that it was a list of players that teams have drafted or have moved up to draft at the quarterback position since.
I can name one of them, not named Trubisky.
Yeah, Josh Freeman.
That's correct.
Yeah. The list is a list of guys that, by and large, can't play.
RG3.
Yeah.
What was the one that just happened?
Well, Mitch Trubisky.
Mitch Trubisky. No. There was one where, obviously, the Redskins.
You ready?
With the Rams.
RG3.
Goff.
Jared Goff. Tim Tebow.
The Broncos traded up for that pick?
J.P. Losman. The Michael Vick. We keep going. Basically, anybody that has Blaine Gabbert, Kyle Bowler, Jason Campbell, Jay Cutler, Mark Sanchez. The list of teams A list of quarterbacks teams have traded up to select in the first round since 2000. Vic, Bowler, J.P. Losman, Jason Campbell, Jay Cutler, Joe Flacco. Okay.
All right,
We have
Super Bowl.
our first. Well, and actually, Cutler in Denver, right?
Well, and even Vic won a playoff game in Lambeau.
Still wasn't a wise move. I mean, well, anyhow.
For jersey sales?
Mark Sanchez. Well, speaking of winning playoff games,
Yeah.
he did.
Beat the
Dominatingly
Patriots.
over the Patriots.
They also won a road game in Indy.
Yeah. Garbage. Josh Freeman. Garbage.
Went 10-6.
Garbage. Tim Tebow.
Won a playoff game against the Steelers.
All-time garbage. Like, worst quarterback to ever start a game in the NFL.
Are we
garbage.
discovering a win in the playoffs doesn't mean much?
No. It's not the argument used. Blaine Gabbert. Robert Griffin III. Johnny Mansell. That's still my favorite. Oh, sorry, Tebow. Johnny Manziel's worse than you. You're right. Teddy Bridgewater. Sad story there.
News today, they obviously
They
did not
opted
pick
out.
up
They
his
said, we're not picking this up.
2018 option is not picked up.
We're not so sure you can walk, let alone play quarterback. Jared Goff. That is never going to work out, by the way. The day they drafted him, I went, nope. And you and I have talked about it since. He's not.
Watching Chris Wenke contort on Hard Knocks when he was describing what he could or could not do, you could see it in the moments where they're asking him, so how's the kid doing? Well, he's got a lot of things that we like.
He's got a lot of things.
Yeah, but that's the tone he took.
He's breathing.
He's learning. It's going to take a while, but he's learning the system.
All right, Carson Wentz might work out. Big time, might. But we're off to a good start there. Paxton Lynch might work out. We'll see. Mitchell Trubisky, not going to work out. Not going to work out.
Going to go ahead and call that now?
Go ahead and call that. Not going to work out. Patrick Mahomes, not going to work out. Not going to work out. Actually, might, because you can sit his ass for a while, and he is going to a spot where Andy Reid will do the right thing. That's not – if you're going to take a flyer –
That's a big price to go get a flyer.
It is a big price, but cannon for an arm, can sit for the foreseeable future, like 3 years. Okay. If you're going to take risks, at least have a situation like that in place where you have your starting quarterback and you know he's your starting quarterback for the next couple of years, right?
Well, and Andy Reid knows what he's doing here because he knows what Alex Smith is, and even I, being the number one fan in the Alex Smith fan club,
waving that banner.
I know that people will be crying for a gunslinger when Alex Smith's days
you
are
think?
over. And that's the number one term used with Mahomes.
The first time that a ball travels more than 25 yards late in a mop-up duty game and Mahomes is the one throwing it, they're going to go, my God, it's possible. You are allowed to throw the ball 20 yards or more downfield. We can do that.
He actually made Tyreek Hill go get a ball.
We just overthrew a wide-open guy 40 yards downfield, and I'm about to weep with joy to know that that's possible once again in the National Football League for a team I root for. Makes all the difference. I don't care that it's 2nd and 10 and he should have hit him in stride. We're at least attempting to stretch a defense.
That's a great thought that the loudest cheer at Arrowhead next year would be an overthrow on a 40-yard bomb.
In a mop-up game or during a preseason game. They're going to let him air out that howitzer, and he's going to throw that thing 50 yards, and they're going to go, oh, it can be done by a guy wearing a Chiefs uniform. All right. So Deshaun Watson also traded up for it, but late. No, kind of late.
You don't buy in him, but you don't think of him the way you do Trubisky, right?
No, he's got a better chance than Trubisky. I told you going in, I didn't like any of the quarterbacks. None of them. Just me. And, of course, we know this, that there are years that's true and guys make it. And other years you're sure somebody's going to make it. So I go in knowing that it's not a surefire thing. I am rooting, by the way, for Watson. I like him. I don't have a personal problem with Trubisky for that matter. I don't. I just thought this was a sorry-ass draft for quarterbacks coming out of systems that don't translate with limited skill sets. So at least translatable skill sets.
Better chance to succeed, Jared Goff or Mitch Trubisky? Because they're both, the jury's out on the two of them. You take Alex Smith.
Every day, twice on Sunday. I'm telling you, I would be disappointed to have to do that, but I ain't rolling out there with Goff.
I will take my 3 yards per attempt,
I will
sir.
go ahead and check down my way to a 10-6 win and move on. We're not turning it over. I mean, I'll play field position with the best of them. I got the guy. Alex Smith can play some field position with you. He'll check down or find that tight end. About 7 yards from the line of scrimmage. We're golden. I don't know, man. I don't foresee any of Trubisky, Mahomes, Watson. Nope.
But you would give Goff the better roster, right? But Trubisky the better situation, given that he has a couple of years. You got Todd Gurley at least.
That's
and a defense.
Oh, Goff, you mean? Yeah, but Trubisky's not in a great situation. The Bears are in disarray right now. That's a proud organization that was the model of consistency for a very long time, despite not having great quarterback play for, I don't know, ever. But they now have abandoned what they always were. This is a team that played great defense, ran the football, threw off a play action, played to the weather, played to their history, all of that. They have no idea what they're doing right now. I mean, you got a team that moved up to draft a quarterback that started 13 games in college and didn't tell the head coach they were going to do it. That can't be healthy.
There's a sadness in your eyes, and it's funny because you're not a Bears fan at all, but you're seeing a tradition-rich franchise
look like ass and do dumb, silly.
Blank the bed.
Oh, completely. And it happens to every franchise at some point. Lord knows it happened in Tampa Bay for decades. But it is odd when you watch a franchise that it's been steady for so long and has such a rich history just really devolve into some just ongoing game show where this is ridiculous. What are we doing here? Nobody has any idea. It's weird.
You're bothered.
Well, I don't know how it happens that you have all of this money.
If it was the Browns, you wouldn't be feeling this way.
Because the Browns have done this forever.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how, okay, so they obviously, presumably, you have a lot of smart guys who made a lot of money in business. They've figured it out along the way. And, you get into a situation where you own teams and you make a mockery of the whole business structure. I don't understand how that's possible. You don't hire guys and let them do their jobs. You see this sometimes. I mean, obviously you see this with the Cowboys sometimes. And
it all started with Trestman when they were trying to throw the ball 50 times a game.
But if you remember, that situation happened because they were trying to help, obviously, the aforementioned Jay Cutler.
And they did have 2 at least 1,000-yard seasons, concurrent seasons with Marshall and Jeffrey, if not more.
They had guys you could do that with. And you thought, okay, I understand it. But they blew up that plan early. And they've blown up several plans. So once you get this stop-start thing, it's usually a sign that a franchise is headed down the wrong path. And that culminated with the draft, where you're just going, what in the world?
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
2016, we helped 138 families, including 33 vets, rebuild their lives. For more information or to have your furniture picked up, call 224-ECHO. Call 224-ECHO.
This morning you're up early because you're at the DMV. So many people, it takes so much time. Do you have the right form? Are you in the right line? Your number E42, right after C23. This is confusing. When your morning is hell, just go to Taco Bell.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's Breakfast Crunch Wrap. A whole breakfast wrapped up and grilled to eat on the go. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube. Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This day in sports history.
May 1st, 1991. Two huge baseball events happened on this same day. Rickey Henderson started the day by breaking the Major League career stolen base record when he swiped his 939th against the Yankees. Later that night, Nolan Ryan, at 44 years old, made history by throwing his record 7th career no-hitter against the Blue Jays.
Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon with the dust settled for Florida State players. Dalvin Cook, DeMarcus Walker, Roderick Johnson, and Marquez White were drafted at the end of the 7 rounds on Sunday in the NFL draft in Philly. Cook goes 41 overall in the 2nd round to the Vikings. Walker to the Broncos also in the 2nd round. Johnson is a member of the Cleveland Browns in the 5th round, and White heads to the Dallas Cowboys in the 6th round. Then the free agent frenzy began. Freddie Stevenson will sign with the Chicago Bears. Bobo Wilson will rejoin Jameis Winston. He is headed to Tampa. Travis Rudolph signs with the New York Giants. Kermit Whitfield says he's going to the Bears, although the Bears have not yet confirmed that. Also over the weekend, Oregon received commitments from 5 ESPN 300 players, including 4-star defensive back Isaiah Bolden from Zephyr Hills. He announced his commitment, decommitted from Florida State, although the Noles are absolutely loaded in this year's upcoming DB class.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Wrapping it up, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. We got a lot of baseball, a lot of night baseball on all night. I was angry at baseball yesterday. I mean, not angry, just kind of, baseball. Pirates had a chance to sweep the Marlins. They got their head kicked in. Cruising along fine, up 3-0. Chad Kuhl gets hit with a line drive, comebacker in the knee. End of day, end of lead. Good night, Irene.
Head kicked in? What do you know about getting your head kicked in?
Well, that is for sure, sir. My goodness, you just got Rendon a new contract. But, yeah, that was something to behold.
That's like a month worth of production for a second baseman in the bigs.
He went berserk. I bet his eyes lit up when you start putting position players out on the hill late. He's like, I could get that home run. I can get another one. This guy's just throwing up softballs, literally. Yeah, I don't know why, but I think that's not true. I think I do know why before we get to probables. I think your inclination early in the year when the injuries began to mount and just certain things seemed to be going wrong. Your first thought, your knee-jerk reaction to that initially was, this is not going to be the season I had envisioned. This is, I'm a little concerned. You'd kind of made reference to the fact you were getting concerned, not because of early results, because it's too early to get too concerned.
Sure.
But just everything was just so convoluted, and there were guys taking turns getting hurt and weird way to lose games and just factors.
Top 3 days lost or players' days lost to the disabled list, if I can say that, since 2001. So,
your franchise has a history of it.
Yeah.
And as you've noted.
That's the same trainer in that time. He and Marvin Lewis have been employed for far too long.
Pictures, man. Lots of pictures of somebody that wields the authority to do what should have been done ages ago. But yeah, I don't know that the recipe's there for the Mets to survive this calamity. And what I mean is you've got too many injuries to your pitching staff. Your defense isn't very good. There's not anything that you would look to that you'd say other than the home run ball. And, it's weird, too. They butchered the Cespedes thing, too. I mean, getting him back out there too soon is bizarre. He's the cornerstone. You can't do that.
Yes, they actually had this problem once upon a time with a young player named Jose Reyes. And Jose is back with the team, and I'm sure that he likes seeing that Ray Ramirez is still, the head trainer of the New York Mets, because I think he spends as much time on the field, maybe walking to the mound and back specifically, as pitching coach Dan Warthen. He's out there, it seems, twice a week.
It's crazy to watch that franchise have this issue, so much so that Mets fans flippantly refer to this as a uniquely Mets phenomenon.
Yes.
Like the own fan base is no longer, I don't know if they ever were, but they're not defensive about it. They're like, oh, no, it's real. You say whatever you want. Writers, you're right. It's crazy. I mean, there's I was reading a tweet. Emma Spann, Sports Illustrated, had a tweet that said, Mets to English translations before Syndergaard took the mound. One of her examples was, it just tightened up equals debilitated degenerative illness that he won't recover from.
Sure. This is 100% true. And I can tell you yesterday, talking with my girlfriend before the game starts, and I say, I have a very, very bad feeling about this game.
I benched him.
He refused.
I didn't start him.
You did the right thing.
He was scheduled to start for me, and I went, you know what? He's going to get clobbered.
I'm talking about injury. This was an injury game. Before it started, I said, this is a season-ending injury game for us because he refused the MRI.
Which is crazy.
I'm sorry. You know what? You're going to take the freaking MRI.
Yes.
And we're going to be a real organization about this.
Well, you're an employee, by the way.
And you're under club control until 2020. This isn't a walk year where you're afraid of hurting somebody's sensibilities. You have him under control until forever from now.
And moreover, no matter how talented, and he is uniquely gifted, obviously, you are an employee.
Yes.
Go to hell.
Yes.
I'm telling you to get an MRI. You're getting an MRI. We're done here.
So,
you're an employee of the Mets.
I got the MLB TV app up 1:30 ahead of the 1:35 first pitch. All right, on comes Pix 11, the New York broadcast, and I said, I'm terrified. And she said, why? Well, I'm terrified because this is going to be the game where he gets hurt. I know it's going to be the game that he gets hurt because every time that we have a situation like this where there is discord between the training staff, front office, and player about whether or not they're hurt, they get hurt worse. And he was getting hit really hard. He was throwing 100.
Yeah.
But I said, all right, he's throwing 100 at least. So at least he's out there and he's got his fastball. This isn't him throwing 92 and getting clobbered. These are all seeing eye singles through the infield. Then the second inning happens. I go, well, there it is. Okay, I can just turn this off now. No big deal.
You can. He was throwing 100. I watched the start too. Some of those were hit really hard.
Yeah, they were flat fastballs.
Yeah, they're flat, and he was trying to dial it up, and you could see it the way he came off the mound.
And he was demonstrative, more so than he typically is.
It's just weird. I mean, he's at odds with the organization, and the organization in this situation actually, I think, turned out to be right.
Yeah, this one's not on Ray.
But you can't let him go out there.
Correct.
You can't let him go out there.
And that's a front office thing.
Well, and also it just speaks to a distrust that the players have with the Mets training staff, so much so that they say, I refuse your medical advice. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, they always get second opinions.
It's crazy. No. Man, they need to kind of reshuffle the deck here.
Think about that. Any franchise that folks like out there, or, Florida State is a program.
It's an interesting story.
Think about it if it was Florida State as a football program and players routinely do not like the advice that they get from the doctors that they have. And they say, I don't trust you.
Or they come back and get hurt after not having sat out long enough.
Right.
I mean, this happens all the time with the Mets.
Sure.
I mean,
it would be
just
akin
happened
to,
again with Cespedes.
It would be akin to Dalvin Cook and Devonta Freeman before him and Thompson and Jermaine Thomas before him, all having hammy problems at a different point in the season. And the team says, we think they can give it a go. And then they have a grade 3 tear. You know, all of them.
At some point, you just be like, we're done here. Yeah.
What advice are you getting?
Well, so that happened, and I felt for you, and of course, somewhat much more insignificant. He was my number 1 pick in the draft, so I'm done there. And I thought, okay, well, at least I know now, because I was scrambling. I got to go find somebody.
And it's a lat tear for anybody who's playing fantasy baseball. With
Thor.
Thor.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're done. You might as well move on and go do what I did this morning. I had to pick up Matt Cain.
What? You don't have a 60-day?
Well, I've got it. Yeah, but he ain't coming back. If he tore his
you
lat,
don't think so?
No, he's done.
All right.
He's done. I'm thinking along the lines of a Mets fan now. He's done.
Well, sure. Well, they're going to bring him back. And
well,
then he's gonna make it worse. No, I'm not kidding.
Just have the surgery and be done with it. But so the point is here. So that happened, and I was like, okay, well, that's happened, and you know what are you gonna do? You gotta move on. But we didn't win the Sunday game against Virginia.
That was worse.
Okay, and the way we lost is so, and we've talked about it on today's show, is so aggravating. So that happened, and then the Pirates, of course, are up 3-0. They end up losing 10-3. So all things baseball happened poorly for me on Sunday. So I was a little angry at baseball on Sunday, and then I said, well, it's not about you, Jeff. The great sport of baseball will move on with your likes and dislikes intact, sir. It's just what happens. Got to move on. Because I've been steady feeling sorry for myself with the Marte situation, and then, of course, we still haven't had our leading home run hitter back in the country. So it's been somewhat frustrating.
It has been, and I can tell you that I drive at random intersections through them on the way to work or the way home, and I get to the light, and I'll stop, and I'll go, you know, it's been 2 months. How is Carlton not in our freaking rotation? And then I go on with my day, and it's out of my system.
You just say it, and you move
on. But then, maybe 3 traffic lights later, what are we doing? What a waste. This is a complete waste.
Who is in the rotation? Well, let's find out right now with the probables, my friends. Here they come.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Oh, it's me. There it is.
The humidity is here, buddy.
That's true. I do want to work in. I want to find a way as we get smack dab into the middle of the summer, because there's no real spring in Florida. It's kind of, you get that little taste, and the taste is gone. It's just summer. That's it. So that's why we do this in May. But can we work in some Sarah Vaughan, the jazz singer, Sarah Vaughan?
Sure.
I'm a big fan of Sarah Vaughan, and it feels like probables could be announced over some Sarah Vaughan. Just me. But you like Sarah Vaughan.
I do.
You like that era.
I would do it. I'd play it.
We will. All right, there you go. Here we go. Probables. Let's get it started. Marco Estrada is going to pitch for the Blue Jays. The Yankees will throw Luis Severino. We got Orioles, Red Sox, Dylan Bundy, Rick Porcello. Indians, Tigers, Trevor Bauer, Daniel Norris. My Buccos don't have much luck these days with the Reds, but if they're going to have it, it should be tonight. Garrett Cole, who's been really good. Got to get off of Garrett Cole. Last 3 starts have been dominant. Okay. Garrett Cole goes tonight for the Pirates against the Reds. Amir Garrett for the Red Stockings. Rays, Marlins. Jake Odorizzi comes off the DL. His first return start is against the Marlins. As I said, Wai Chin going for the Fish. Lifted after 83 pitches at Philadelphia. That came off his season-high 7 no-hit innings of 100 pitches against Seattle, if you recall.
Whatever happened to Alex Cobb? Is he healthy?
He's been on again, off again healthy.
Yeah, he's one of those.
He's one of those guys. Mets, Braves. Gesellman's going to pitch for the Mets.
That's who you need as your stopper.
He's starting against the Braves, a team that tagged him for 6 runs on 10 hits in 4 innings his last time out. That's a toughie. They like seeing him on the hill tonight.
And they like that ballpark.
Julio Teheran will pitch tonight for the Braves.
Naturally.
Of course. Maybe he won't be getting that sinker down. Maybe he'll leave it up. And you guys are home run hitters.
Yeah, we need 8 to win tonight.
You might. Phillies, Cubs. Let's go, Phils. Let's make it happen, Phillies. Come on, Phillies. Woo! Vince Velasquez good. He's lasted longer into each successive start in 2017. He's building to it.
Let me ask you.
Dominant night tonight.
building to it, indeed. How expensive do you think a Philly Fanatic costume is?
A real one?
A cheap one, like a cheap version.
Well, I don't know
because
what
we
the
should have
regular version
Matthew
would be.
direct the show in the Fanatic costume.
Fanatic costume?
I think that'd be fantastic.
First, can we get the Phillies to go back to the really kick-ass rustic dark maroon
Yes.
with the that's what you do right there. That's
With
good.
the 1970s
The
light
baby
electric
blue?
baby blue.
Oh, give me the baby blue with the dark. Yes. Come on, Phils. Let's get with the program. And then Mike Schmidt will walk out wearing said uniform just as tight as he did 30 years ago. Ridiculously so. That uniform was sprayed on.
He's a guy who looks like he should have a gravelly voice, but it's not really.
I met him. I told you. I met him that day down there in Clearwater. He was a lot smaller than I anticipated. It really disappointed
That
me.
is, yeah.
I was like, damn it, man. You're just fading away on me. Cubs will throw Brett Anderson. Rangers, Astros, Andrew Kashner. Lance McCullers Jr. goes for the Stros. White Sox, Royals, Dylan McCovey, or I want to say McCovey because Willie McCovey was a great, but it's not McCovey at all. It's Dylan Covey. Jason Vargas has been electric. Come on, Vargas, I need you tonight. Goes for the Royals. Brewers, Cardinals, Zach Davies, Michael Waka. Let's go, Brew Crew. And Giants, Dodgers, we'll see Johnny Cueto, Clayton Kershaw. Hey, now, staying up late sounds like a good idea.
I'm sure it would have been Mad Bum if he didn't get in the wreck.
If he had gotten off his dirt bike and been a grown-up. Giants, Dodgers, Cueto, Kershaw. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump.
See the paper laying on the sidewalk, a little music from the house.
You missed it
next
earlier.
door.
We were talking about the Anthony Rendon Day for the Ages. He became the 5th player in franchise history to hit 3 home runs in a game. That's the least of his accomplishments. He is the 13th player in Major League history to drive in 10 or more runs in a game. They've been playing baseball a long time. He's just the 13th guy to do that. And then in addition to that, and that hasn't been done in the Major League since 2007. I'm sure you read that. Garrett Anderson. Remember Garrett Anderson?
Sure.
He did it with the Angels. That Angels team probably collectively used more anabolic steroids than any team in the history of sport, and that includes, I don't know, any number of NFL teams.
The 2000 Yankees.
I was going to say that. Think back on how
Roger
many
Clemens,
of those
Andy
guys.
Pettit.
Think back on how many of those guys for the Angels were juiced out of their mind. It's crazy, like almost all of them, and they won the World Series.
There's a question. I just thought of this, and it would be fun to see if you could set up a handshake contest. So you're shaking hands to the point of somebody has to submit from pain.
Dying of pain.
Okay. Madison Bumgarner versus Anquan Bolden.
What a battle. Those two shaking hands, staring each other in the eye the whole time. The
Until
handshakes
somebody-
happen
yep.
until somebody breaks. I don't think they would.
It's kind of like a Predator scene, just a little bit different.
Yeah.
What's the matter? Pushing too much pencils?
The hands just locked, squeezing down like a vice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I don't. You could have a round robin and throw in Piazza.
There
Oh,
you
my
go.
goodness gracious. The hand wars that would be taking place there. That's absurd.
I'm sure you could find some rough tumble guy, too, from the NHL because those players
all
have.
those guys have hands
Yes.
beyond belief, yeah. Or a catcher. Oh, well, I already added Piazza.
What if we threw David Cutcliffe in there? How do you think that would go?
David Cutcliffe. That poor man's dusty, what used to be hand falling to the floor.
Be like the cartoons, when
Oh,
the
yeah.
steamroller goes
Like,
over the hand.
Those hands are so strong and his hands so weak, they could actually deglove him. The degloving phrase is one of my favorites. When people get caught up in machines. He was
David
degloved.
Cutcliffe, Bubba Watson.
Oh, my God, what a war. That is an exercise in futility if what you're looking for is strength. Imagine those two. Literally, that is just beautifully futile. Just,
Out of context, if somebody flipped on their radio.
Oh, my goodness. For Matthew and for Tom, I'm Jeff. Great job from the three of us today. We were all spectacular. You're welcome, folks. We'll try to do it again tomorrow. I don't know if we could be this good 2 days in a row.
That's a tough
But
thing.
we've been on the air almost 20 years, so I'm betting on us. That's how we roll. Take care and have a good night, everybody.
When you're in need of auto repairs, Look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.